if you guys allow us to get through it as quickly as possible.
Jude, I'm sorry. When did you send out the agenda?
I sent it out yesterday, 24 hours prior.
Okay, got it.
If you look to your minutes, you will find it. If you don't find it,
It's
I can also find it for you.
AB, it says AB meeting 11/21 is the
There we go.
thing.
That's what I
There we
needed. Thank you.
All right.
I'm just gonna, Jesse, you're welcome. All right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 6:33. Amendment to the agenda. I'll call to audience first. Anyone? No. Approval of the agenda. I know you wanted to add something to it.
It's the 9:19, 16 minutes because they've been on the agenda for a while.
So I think I skipped that minute mistakenly. We're gonna have to add that as one of the minutes we're trying to approve. So moving to the next item, approve of minutes. There are 3 minutes to approve. Does anyone have any objection to any of the minutes?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think, because the 11:17 minutes were the first ones with the new format, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've really liked that format a lot. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we are good to go with the 3 minutes. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, motion to approve, or do we need to do that
Second.
here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we
Yep.
need to
Ideally
do
just
that.
formally.
What's that date again,
I
Maria?
think it was 9/19/16. It was in the email.
Yeah,
that I
looking at the
sent.
email now. It was 9/19/16.
Okay. So, motion to approve the 3 minutes, 9:19, 10:20, and 7:11. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I motioned for that.
Second.
Ayes?
Sure.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstention? Okay, moving on quickly to hold business. Jimmy is in here. We're gonna move on to the next thing. Repository. Wherein do you want to speak on that?
I was gonna. Can I use your computer?
Sure.
I need a browser if you can open up.
So we need to.
So
provide
the whole thought was to migrate everything from Dropbox to UA Box. First to, I mean, it's not that expensive, but I guess we're trying to cut costs everywhere. And also
you
we
want
were
everyone to
advised.
see this, right?
Yeah, I need a browser, but I'm gonna talk while you do that.
Okay.
So
There you go.
and also, due to security reasons and whatnot, because UA Box is owned by the U of A, so we want to do everything legit, and then that way the liability is on U of A instead of just us. Just on us by using Dropbox. So
Your screen is over here.
okay, so if I remember what the URL is.
Arizona.app.box.com.
Wow. That's a wonderful URL.
Dang.
Is
It'd be hard to stumble
is that
upon
the
it.
UA Box URL or what was it?
Arizona.app.box.com.
App.
Yep.
Dot box.
I think there's
Arizona
a
dot
Arizona
app.
app as well. Arizona.app.box.com.
Uh-huh.
Let's try it.
Interesting.
There you go.
I'm not creative enough to make that up.
I have one of these, but I just click on the little thing in my bookmarks that I have saved.
Yeah, I have it up here.
So
Daniel, can one of you move over just
Sure.
in case Jim shows up so you can see them right there?
That makes sense.
Are we showing things on here right now?
You can go over.
Oh, I can stand.
No, you can go. Sure, you can.
Daniel was just sitting right there and we were all
Go
fine,
for it.
so.
And I'm shorter than him, so you can still see over me.
You could borrow his hat if you want to be taller.
So what we've done is
What
we've
we
already
wanna use that
requested
as-
a
so
UA
you can
department
use this.
UA box. There's a bunch of people who are the owners. I'm just an editor. So this way, we won't have any future issues like who controls the Dropbox and whatnot. So right now, I just did this is what I thought it would go basically we have full-time administrators, so basically those people who are in, you know, affiliated with ASUA specifically, like say Megan or Carol, and then archives are just archives, you know, whether it's photo or list of archives, you know, governing documents archives, so anything that you need archiving, you know, specific things that you need, you know, instant access to. I don't foresee anything else in this folder unless, you know, you guys see fit to have anything else. So website shared documents, so
Do not touch.
those are anything that will be shared, you know, whether it's pictures or documents. Right now, most of them are in Dropbox, so we'll do the migration there. And then EB, I don't really have any specific folders in there, but you know, if you have anything specific that would help to your task with making sure that there's some continuity from one year to the other. So most likely the EB folder would have a file structure like the support staff, where I've broken it down further or branched it out further to each specific position. And then what I foresee is that right now each of them are empty, but what I foresee in here is that you have different fiscal years listed there. So for example, Janelle, who's a travel grant right now, so I would foresee her working on a folder here, you know, with the title 2015 to 2016, for example. But that's basically it. I don't know if you guys have any feedback or comments, but right now this is the main thing I'm working on slowly, just to slowly move everything from Dropbox to UA Box. It's kind of a painstaking process because I got to download and then upload and whatnot. But this, I mean, the good thing about UA Box is that you know, you can assign to specific people like different folder. I mean, all the features are exactly like UA Box, except we're making it more official, where everything is done through NetID. And I think, you know, I mentioned to Megan and Chris, but I don't know whether she brought it with the EB. I think I mentioned it to Jude, but I'm hoping that, you know, we've had lots of issues in the past where, you know, people have created Dropboxes, sorry, not Dropbox, Gmail accounts, and there's no continuity, there's no like history for other people, other EB people or administrators to look at. So I'm hoping that, you know, I'm suggesting this to the EB to implement some sort of policy with regards to specific emails. The best, I'm going to recommend that everyone use like the official U of A email account. I know sometimes it can be a pain to get access, especially if using a browser, but you know, if you have Outlook and have it set up, you know, you can access those specific GPSC affiliated box easily. But those are my recommendations. Any questions or comments?
Thank you. I have a few questions and comments. First, who are those names, the collaborators? So, who are they, all of them?
I do not know. I assume they're all legit people who are working U of A employees.
Okay.
They are, most of them, I believe, are all affiliated with Student Affairs. I can show you all of it. Megan's
I
in
don't
there.
recognize any name. Okay, I've seen
So
Megan,
Megan's there.
Chris
was
That's
there.
it.
I'm here, but I'm just an editor. I'm not an owner.
So how many permission levels are there? Is it like you've got editors, owners, and like viewers, or
Yes.
how would it work?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
All right. So then, like most GPSC representatives would be added as viewers, so they could see all the resources, but they couldn't actually change anything.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, we use this at ASUA.
Okay.
And do you know who all those are?
Yes.
They're probably sausage.
It's just like the Dropbox.
Okay.
It's probably sausage team. We'll probably have to move Chris out, since he's no longer here, sadly.
Okay.
Probably.
So he'll be removed. Most likely either myself or Chrissy will be added as co-owners, but I'll need to follow up with her.
And then can we follow up with these people,
Yeah.
the others, to make sure that they're still current or relevant?
Yeah.
If you
Wait.
want to send an email to Megan, she's out this week.
Yeah,
but
so
she's back
Megan's
on
the one
Monday.
who set set this up.
Yeah, I guarantee you
yeah.
it'll all sausage.
Does
Beautiful.
GPSC currently have an advisor or someone that they should be included in here?
Well, that would either
Megan
Megan,
and Claudia.
Claudia.
yeah, or me,
So-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris, Megan,
Or
and Claudia
Kristen.
were all different faces of the same
So,
purpose, I
so
guess.
Megan's in there now.
But we don't have anyone outside the dean of students who's an advisor.
Chrissy right now is our.
Oh, you mean a faculty advisor?
Yeah, a faculty advisor.
I don't think we've had
We
a
have a
faculty advisor
faculty-
in about a year.
A
Yeah.
board.
Because Megloda Brown stopped being.
Is there any? Should
Or
we? Should
did
we
she
have
stop
a
officially?
She went on
she quit.
sabbatical or something like that. So yeah, she was no longer.
We have a list of people online, and I haven't reached out to them yet, and I do plan to reach out to them.
We've got an advisory board, but that's different from a faculty advisor.
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
She's thinking specifically of. For a while, we had a specific professor who was sort of taking a more active role,
Mm-hmm.
and Megaloda Brown was our last one, but then she stopped. I want to say early last year. So we haven't had a faculty advisor for over a year at this point.
So I don't know. Maybe if we have one, we could add them
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
If we could think about. I mean, was it functional to have one before?
So I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think this is probably not the place for one to act though, because for one thing, we had very high turnover in that faculty advisor role. I want to say we had at least 2 different faculty advisors, not 3 different faculty advisors since I've been here. And I think the purpose of having those owners is they're supposed to be people who are going to stay there long term.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be swapping them out every week.
So yeah, that's a good question
I mean, if
too.
they stayed for a year, that would be sufficient.
So like also all the emails. So this is like a list of the
Oh.
the U of A emails. So this is sort of like
Okay.
Okay.
what Megan and Chris have implemented. So there are multiple peoples who have access to that. Again, due to the high turnaround of GPSE. So
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's necessary, just because we have Wayron and Megan, and if the faculty needs something, then they can talk to those
I also
people.
feel
oh right, I
That's
mean this is just an
alright.
example for the emails. I don't know how you guys want to do it for the
I
other
think a
stuff.
faculty advisor role is also just a fundamentally different role from this type of nuts and bolts thing.
Yeah.
I think a faculty advisor is really more how do we effectively communicate with other faculty members? How do we effectively communicate with the administration? And less like what files should we save to Box? So
Yeah, I'm just saying if that would be something we could think about. If we had a faculty advisor in the past, that would be a person to include on here as well.
Okay. Thank you. One last quick question. I see support staff executive board. I'm guessing we don't need something for general counsel, do we?
We can.
probably
I mean,
should, actually.
I don't know.
for
Yeah.
specifically the files that are most relevant to the
To
general,
general
counsel.
counsel.
Yeah.
If we can create one for them.
And that would really be, we all edit it, but the general counsel views it and they know where to find that resource.
Sure.
And then lastly, speaking of emails, I know we've mentioned this, we talked about this briefly, and I also said it to general executive board members. For me, the only concern I have with the emails is I want to have it on my phone or my iPad. That's
Yeah, just download Outlook and then you can.
no,
use
it doesn't work that way. I've been
can't?
told, no, I can't. I've been told someone from Sausage needs to put in the departmental password for me to have that on my phone or my iPad. And Khaled would not do it because he's been asked not to get involved in anything that has to do with this because it's Sausage, some sort of bureaucracy. But I've been asked to talk to you to put up a request with Sausage if they can do that.
So Khalid said you can't do that?
He said we can do it, but he's not going to do it because Sausage don't want him to get involved
Okay.
in all
I
of
didn't know
this.
you need extra password for that.
Yeah,
So
there's a
I
password.
assume it's okay. I guess I'll try it on my tablet to see whether I can do it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I don't believe you. I'll just take a stab at it.
If you can help me with that, because that's like the easiest way I can use the email in real time. I don't have a problem using it. The only problem is I have to use a laptop to access it, and I'm not always on a laptop.
Can
So-
you email all of us with that information? Because I would like to put
Yeah.
my separate email on my phone as well, and I was gonna download it, but I didn't have time earlier today to download the app for my phone yet. So.
Your separate email can work on your phone, but
Yeah.
the
I-
GPS is
Yeah, I
That's what I'm
assume
saying.
it
I
did
want my
because
EVP.
the way I access my GPSC website is through Outlook on my computer.
Well, I can't. I have
But,
that works
I mean,
on every
if-
other email, but I can't. Anyways,
Yeah.
we can
That
talk
would be
talk
nice.
about that because of time later. And then EB members, you've had it again. It would be nice if everybody actually gets to use their email. I know people like Jasmine, you're nodding your head, but it would be nice if we actually get to
Yeah, I
use
know.
our email
Yeah.
just because when we leave this position, it'll be nice to have continuity. The next person who comes after should be able to see what we've done and know where to pick up from. So at some point, I hope we don't have to get to the point where we discuss about enforcing it in some ways, but I hope we can all cooperate and use those emails.
So does the GC, like say if I make a folder for GC, do we
GC.
need like a different archive year as well, like 05, like different fiscal year as well, or is it just going to be a working directory and then
I think it might
for
be good to
them
have
to view
different
documents
years.
only
I would
for
say,
every year?
yeah, it's just documents that should be useful every year that might get updated from time to time. Oh, no,
I
it
think we
actually
can
should
do
need,
every year.
it does need years.
Yeah.
Because every year people give rep reports, and so those are gonna have to be
Can go
compiled
there.
by year.
Sure.
So,
And another thing is when we propose changes to either our bylaws or constitution, can we have like old versions or at least a way to track those changes
That'd
in
be cool.
each of those
I think there's
folders?
a governing docs,
Yeah.
a past governing docs folder. with
Yeah,
with-
so
Yeah.
Is that in
so
archives?
that's in archives,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then there's a governing doc. So
Yeah,
I
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that'd be
Okay.
fine.
so I don't know whether Maria brought that up, but I helped her sort of look at the different versions. So PDF, the full version has a feature where you can compare different documents, compare
Right.
different
Oh.
PDFs,
Okay.
and it will highlight the different versions. So if I need to, I could make like a PDF of the changes. Like it will compare like say 02 and 04. The 04 Constitution to like the fall 07, then I could
Okay.
spit out a comparison. I guess if you guys wanted.
I don't
it.
think
I don't
that
think
level is
that's-
necessary,
Yeah.
but it's,
just having the old
yeah,
ones,
just being able to have
Yeah.
access to them is really
so
cool.
they just don't vanish.
Well, I
into
think
the-
it.
Quick
Okay.
question on the email addresses. So, can we, the problem I see with using the email addresses is, in the past, email addresses, accounts have been deleted. The
Gmail.
GPSC
This-
accounts.
This is
This
Gmail.
one,
This
you
we're
can
talking
delete.
about the official GPSC affiliated UA Arizona.edu.
None of us have the
It's
ability to
nobody
delete
even-
those.
Yeah, no one has. No one here has.
That was my question.
Okay. Clarified. Another question because we need to move on now.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Just
Um,
log
This is
in.
awesome.
You need to
Thanks,
log off,
Wayron.
right?
Yeah.
Log out.
So and then
Okay.
oh, you need to log me off NetID by the way.
Okay.
While Jude tries to do that, the website as well, like none of us have privilege to delete anything. So I mean, I can publish or publish stuff, but then Sausage, they're like the true admin, so to speak. I can't do anything about it.
I think I'm still
That's probably the
logged
best.
on there.
Okay, that's fine. I trust you.
Okay, because I just checked my email and my email opened.
Uh,
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions to me since I'm still here, like website concerns, stuff like that? I don't know whether anyone has talked to Ashley, but I don't know whether she's
Who's that?
Which of the Ashley
Alive.
are we talking
The
about?
marketing.
marketing. Yeah.
That was one of my
I don't know,
questions
I've-
actually.
I've always emailed her but not get anything back, so I don't know if you guys ever talked to her.
I talked to
seen
her. When last did you send her an email? She
Oh, a
posted
long
something on
time ago.
Facebook today actually, and she hasn't responded yet.
I don't know. Whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna put
Not my problem.
you in touch. If there's a question and she's not responding, just shoot me an email and then I'll put you guys in touch and see what.
Well, it was a question and Megan was CC, but I don't know whether
And she
she
never
replied.
responded.
I don't know whether she replied to Megan directly.
We
Or,
can probably figure this
Maybe,
out.
but we can
later.
do that.
it doesn't matter. It's not
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, I'm
Um,
glad you guys are happy and whatnot. So
Cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Warren, you had a
Yeah.
question?
yes.
If you want to stick around, you absolutely can, but I know you said you had to leave, so.
Yeah.
You had a
Yes,
question?
I
yes.
still can't get on my email, and Megan's been helping me, and I'm on like my 4th ticket with the
Sausage.
help desk. Do you have any secret?
No, that's all
Okay.
out of my hands.
Okay.
Can we do this
Cool.
after the meeting with the emails? Please, again, everyone, if you
Yeah.
can, talk with Warren and try and activate your account. I know mine is functional. Danielle, I saw an email today.
Yeah.
Jasmine, if you can use yours as well, and
Yeah.
Danielle. And
Yeah,
Maria.
real quick. The issue is
Indeed.
that if you're not currently employed by the U of A, that's where the issue lies.
Yeah, you need a
Because you don't have.
catwalk.
Yeah, you need a CatWorks account. So that's. So I know Megan and they're
Does
in
that apply
office.
to anybody? Yeah.
So far,
Everybody.
just her and whoever is not U of A employee.
It tried to do that with me as well, but they
You
got
have
it
it
figured
covered.
out.
Yeah, you have
but
it-
they had to do some. I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, you're
Anyways,
a TA, right? So
Okay.
Can you email us though when you figure that out?
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be great.
Okay, I'm gonna need to move on to the next item. I'm gonna go back to budget update. Jim, do you have something yet, or you want us to keep going?
No, on the budget, I mean, I sent out the latest,
Well, it's not the latest, that's the problem.
Jasmine, would you please allow him?
the latest
Get
version
his
based
points.
on the information I got from Daniel. Was what you sent me, Daniel?
I
The
sent
latest?
you what I got from the meeting.
Okay, so, based on all the information I've gotten so far, that budget represents that. Now, Jasmine, of course, is shaking her head and making faces. Jasmine, is there some information I have not been given, which is not included?
Oh,
in
no,
that
you've been
budget?
given all the information, you just apparently haven't used it, unfortunately.
So what's the information that I've been given, Jasmine, and when was I given it, please?
Well, you were at the meeting where you voted on the budget, so I would have assumed that you would have kept track of that because you're the treasurer. If you didn't, I don't really know.
I'm sorry,
what
Daniel,
to
did you
find
send
out.
me the correct file from that meeting?
I sent you what you've asked me for. That's basically all.
Okay,
So Jasmine,
okay, I'm
can
gonna
you
have
get
to
with Daniel
interrupt.
and figure out what's the correct file?
That's
I
not
am-
my job.
I'm sorry, Jim, that's
I
not
am
my
gonna
job
have to
either.
interrupt
Well,
this
it's not my job
conversation
either.
now.
It
You
absolutely
know,
is.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to interrupt this conversation. Apparently, there's a misunderstanding as to the document you have, the document Daniel sent to you, and I don't want us to spend our time. Thanks.
Well, I'm sorry,
talking
Jim,
about
but
that.
we need to clarify this because
Hold
we
on.
can't move forward on the budget until we get this sorted
Well,
out.
why don't you just look
I
at the
don't
recording
have
from that
the-
meeting and then use that to
I
figure out
don't have the
correct budget?
file that Daniel edited.
Daniel, can you please look through the
I will
document
send
you
him everything
have
I have.
and send it to Jim,
I
please?
will
I'm
send
gonna
it.
move on from that discussion.
I will say, I have the correct file and sent to Mark Ples, except it was not updated to include the change in constituency meeting, because we shifted $1,000 from that to campus pantry,
Okay,
so I don't
please,
have the
can you
most
send your
updated version
updated
either.
version to
But that's
Daniel?
not the most
Daniel,
updated
please.
version, that's the thing.
I will see what I have and I'll
So
So
the most
Jasmine-
updated version should be with the treasurer, because he should have been taking notes during these meetings and updating it himself.
So Jasmine, you say
Hold
you
on, guys.
have an
I'm not gonna do
updated
this
file?
with you guys. I remember Daniel was in charge of that meeting, and you were making those changes to those
I will
files. So
send
if
what
there's
I
a
have.
misunderstanding, please give Daniel the original or the complete
I
file.
will-
Daniel,
I'll-
please give it
yeah,
to
I'll
Jim.
send it-
I don't want us to have that
send it around.
conversation right now.
Well,
Jim,
Jude, if you want an accurate budget, I need the information.
that's what I
Jasmine
just said
says
right now.
She's got it, and she.
And I just said
And I said it
Jasmine
wasn't
is
the
gonna
most
send
up-to-date
it to
thing.
Daniel, and Daniel is gonna give it to you.
Okay,
So
Jim,
That's what I
are
just
we all
said.
on board with that?
Well, is there anybody who has a problem with that?
I don't have the
just
most
said that.
up-to-date version either, that's what I just said.
But you have a version that you think it's more updated
Oh,
than
it's certainly
what?
more updated, but it's not the most updated version.
Okay, Jim,
so-
you might need to go through that and look at the minutes and see
Yes.
what differences are in those two stuff.
We
I'm
have
not
everything
gonna go
recorded
through
at
that
least,
right
so
now.
it's very easy to check
I
what
am
we
gonna
voted
have
on.
to move on,
I
guys.
think if there is something that Daniel has and that's the correct version, then Jim needs to have access.
And
If
I just said that
I will
already.
send what
Okay.
I
I'm gonna
have
move on to the next
around.
agenda now. Supreme Court.
Supreme
Daniel.
Court. Megan and Janice have gotten together. They've put together a list of documents, basically taking all the ASU documents that the Supreme Court has for them, replace GPSC with all of them. I have those. I'm waiting to get together with Alma to see how exactly we ought to interact with the elections code. So by the spring, we should have the Supreme Court integrated into everything that's going on. That's going to require a $625 stipend total for everybody. We haven't talked about whether or not we can give them half the stipend because they're only going to be doing half a year. I think that's kind of not a good idea, but that's something we can chat about. We just got to find $625 somewhere.
Okay, any
And that's
comments
basically
or
it.
questions for Daniel? Claudia, did you want to add something to this?
For Supreme Court,
Yeah.
everything's correct.
Any questions or?
So can we just pay the money and get moving forward with the Supreme Court then?
We have to vote to integrate these into
It
the
has to go to the general
city
council.
council, and I think we should save that for the very last thing of the very last meeting of the term. That was my plan, because I need to talk to Alma, because Alma wants to make some adjustments to the elections code already, so we're gonna have to do that too.
Okay, I'd say we do this early in the year rather than the last. Do you
Okay.
mean last meeting for this year or last meeting in our term?
Last meeting, last 6th.
Oh, last. Okay,
the
then
last
that's
meeting
fine.
in
I
the
thought
term.
you meant last meeting.
No.
I was like,
Last
that's
meeting,
too far away.
December 6th.
Oh, that's fine
So
then.
that they can begin to
That's
take
fine.
over
So
for the rest
December,
of the term.
so just for record, December 6th they take over?
No, December 6th is when we're gonna integrate them into the governing docs. When they take over would be the beginning of the next term.
Okay.
So could I propose the governing docs committee see the proposed changes and give feedback?
Well, I don't have proposed changes for anything. I just have what the Supreme Court, their documents. And so you could ask them to change it, but that would be,
Now,
You
I
have to
assume
ask
our
them.
governing documents have to be modified in some
They
way
do.
to,
And you could talk to Alma, because that's her job.
well, for the elections code, but is she also taking care of changes to the Constitution?
Would you need any?
I don't think I need very many. Like, as far as I understand, the elections are run by the elections code, and the only thing in the Constitution says,
So
Go to the
all
elections code.
changes to the
So,
election code are handled
if-
by Alma?
the elections code, the elections director is supposed to handle all elections code changes, because that's the only way in which we can change it.
So changes to election code handled by election director.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Okay.
And it says that in the elections code then?
It says actually very little in the elections
The
code.
elections code says that the elections director can propose changes, and then they can be ratified by the general council. Otherwise, because our constitution says this stuff will be governed by the elections code, we can technically make a constitutional amendment that redefines what the elections code is, but that's a much more involved process, and so usually it's just the elections director that proposes things for us.
So for
And when is the elections director usually, when you say usually, when has that happened before?
Multiple times, it happened,
A couple weeks ago, actually.
yeah, there's that.
But you
It happened
proposed
last year
but you proposed changes to election code last year.
using the constitutional amendment process. But last year, we also had, I don't even remember our elections director's name last year, but she also proposed her own changes that we then modified slightly as we passed them as a council. Do you remember that?
Okay, I'm gonna entertain
Okay, well, you
can
check
two
the
more
minutes, it's fine.
comments on
This is-
this.
But basically, from now on, only the election director makes changes to
No,
election
that's-
code?
That's
That's
not
not it
what.
at all.
That's
So
not
if
what-
not, then the governing docs does it.
I'm sorry, the governing docs does not have any special comments over when and how the governing docs are changed. You can look at them and you
So
can
who
make
does
them.
it then?
Yeah, well,
The general council does.
If the point.
Okay.
The point
So,
is, if you
who does
Okay,
the
this is getting
changes?
disorganized. I don't do well with that.
Okay, so
Who
we
is
can probably
speaking?
I'm
Who is speaking,
confused.
please?
later about
To the
this.
job of the governing docs committee and the election director. I need to clarify, so
We can probably talk about this after, 'cause I don't
Jasmine,
think this has any
what's your
impact
point?
on.
You need to clarify what.
the question I asked if it's the election director who handles change to election codes and no one else is supposed to do
That's
that?
not-
And
not
that
what I
question has
said.
been answered
So what
already.
I'm
Is there a different question?
Yes, well, I would again like to stress that if the elections director is now looking at the impact of changes to the elections code in the other governing documents,
You guys can absolutely do that, though.
please,
but
Yeah.
we
Feel
need to see
free.
what the proposed changes are.
there aren't any yet. I haven't proposed
Okay,
any changes yet.
um,
No one's
that's
proposed
gonna
any
be
changes.
So
for
how about
this
when those changes are
conversation.
proposed, they get sent to the governing docs
Jim.
committee?
I
Jim,
agree.
They will
Jim,
get sent to the governing docs because
Jim,
they'll get sent to everyone.
this is about Supreme Court, not governing docs and bylaws and whatever. And if you want to have that conversation, please put it in the agenda. It's not on the agenda. I'm going to move on right now to 360 evaluations. And Claudia, it's on you to talk about that if you want to.
Due to the fact that we're still trying to figure out our process of just going over how we do our stipends and such, I figure at this time either we table it and definitely bring it back later until we have a better process of how we're gonna do the evaluation. Since Chris is gone at this time, I think it's just best just to take it off the queue for now, and then
Okay.
we can come up with a proposal later to figure out what our next steps are if everyone's in agreement for that, so it doesn't continue to keep passing on.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't have any further updates for you at this time.
Okay, so that's gonna need to go off the agenda. That's what I heard. Hold business. Okay, next thing, consent agenda. Jean or Claudia. This was Chris before Chris or Claudia, but I added your name if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
I don't have any.
Jim, anything on consent agenda?
Just that I think we should implement a consent agenda for all expenditures.
I have a question. Where are we with maybe okay, I guess that's something you made. I was gonna ask where we would consider agenda for GP, but I think is it different from this?
It's different from that.
Okay, then we're not gonna talk about it. Implementing consent agenda for all expenditures, is that part of the conversation we're having next week?
I don't know what conversation next week you're talking about.
The meeting with staffs and
Tomorrow.
is this tomorrow?
No, it's
Next week.
next week.
Oh, I thought it was tomorrow.
No, it's next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Next week, we're just reviewing what we talked about last week and next steps regarding process.
Yeah, so, although we need to apparently come up with some sort of process, we could certainly just move forward with this part, that the final approval for all expenditures is a consent agenda voted on by the council. And as far as how we get that stuff on the consent agenda and all that, all the intermediate steps, we can sort all that out, but certainly I would think we could move forward with just the idea that, just like ASUA does and other organizations, the council makes the final vote on expenditures, and there's a consent agenda that lists all the proposed expenditures, and folks can vote on it. I mean, it seems like we're gonna probably end up there once we've defined the rest of the process anyway. So I would propose that we just at least get that part proposed to the council and voted on, so that we can get some sort of oversight in place on our expenditures. Because that would also produce at least a list of what our expenditures are and give us a little bit more clarity, organization, and oversight than we have now.
Okay, any questions or comment to that? You're proposing that everything we spend goes through general council.
Yeah, just like what ASUA does, that there's a
consent agenda.
consent agenda with, here's everything we're gonna spend till between now and the next meeting, when there'll be another consent agenda.
As far as I can tell, there are definitely situations where there isn't 2 weeks of lead time before the thing needs to be bought. So I'd say in those cases, it would really more be an FYI, this is what has been spent. If anyone has issues with the fact that this was spent, now's the time to bring it up, but the money's already been spent. So it'd be a little different than the GC approving every purchase, and really more like the GC ratifying certain purchases.
Okay, Marcus.
Well, just another example of that, if everything that I do for the socials are involved with that, I go on a need basis for those events. Case in point, like the last one was like our biggest one, thank you guys. And so like that amount was different from the others, so that would be a little
Right, if
tricky
we
of trying
had
to figure out.
approved $100 in advance, you need
Uh-huh.
200, like that's gonna either suck for you, or like we're gonna have to break process to allow you to serve graduate students properly. So
Yeah.
I figure just making sure that we've got the leeway in whatever process we do come up with for consent agenda allows situations like social events to have a flexible budget.
Okay.
I
Sounds
would,
good.
I would also say that graduate students are notoriously bad at following deadlines, and so it's not unusual for us to have a week and a half of lead time on something that needs to be spent. So just from our constituents who are just bad at following through on stuff. So I think, well, I would say that 95% of the stuff needs to go through GC stuff. There needs to be some flexibility in what we're doing. Otherwise, why are we having executive board meetings at all?
So those are all good points. I would I would say that just looking at what we've done in the recent past, for example, approving on the spur of the moment a chunk of money for the med school, law school party, you know, that seems like something that, gosh, should the general council have known about that and voted on it? Because some people may have objected to spending $500 on a party.
It wasn't really, it's kind of like the same basis as the socials. It
Yeah,
was
well,
more
yeah.
than one college kind of getting together to really
Well, yeah, I know.
meet and
Well, specifically,
But-
that was part of the budget where the general council agreed to not have oversight over that part of the budget and give you and Kevin oversight over that chunk of money.
Yeah.
So that actually would not even need to apply to consensus agenda unless we decided to change that, how the GC has oversight over
Yeah.
socials.
And we probably should, because like I said, there are certainly some people at this university who would think that grad students spending $500 on a party without telling anybody and just doing it could raise some eyebrows. And that seems to me like something the council should make a decision on, is should the council have to clear those sorts of things or not?
Okay, so you're gonna put together a proposal for the council to vote on for our next meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll
that
have
being
some
said, we
space for
can
it.
now move on. I'm hoping nobody has any other comment or any other thing to say about that. Jim, we expect a proposal from you. Do you have an idea as to when you can have that?
Have it for the next general council meeting.
Okay, moving on to GPSC strategic plan. I asked that we talk about this today, and that's part of the reason why I asked that we come with our laptop so we can all make contributions or have an input in it. Again, like I said, I hope we've had a chance to read through, or at least I probably want us to do this for the next 20 minutes or so and move on to the next things on the agenda. But what I wanted with this basically is for us to go through this document, see where we were or where we are right now, and where we want to go from here. This was put together a couple of years ago, I think 2013, by the board members back then, and the idea or part of the goal for this was that we're going to review it every year and update it. I doubt if that has really happened since then. So I wanted us to review these documents real quick, see what changes we want to make.
Okay, I have like, I don't know if it's like an important change, but it's just something I feel strongly about. Can we just like delete most of the inside out paragraph? Because it like kind of makes it sound like we just want to hand ourselves money. Like literally, like the people in this room want to hand ourselves money.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I think just deleting the full first two sentences might be good enough. But like, if you read those first two sentences,
By investing
You
in
guys think
ourselves.
that says
we
okay.
are in a position to provide, investing in ourselves, we're in a position to provide, to act as a fair and strong partner. It sounds like we're just handing ourselves money and then saying we're going to do a better job now. And I would rather not give that impression to anyone. So,
Yeah, when I see the word investing in ourselves, I interpret that as not as I never would have thought that meant giving ourselves money.
So my thing with this is that it says that there will be, where's this? I underlined it. That this would be updated every year, basically. And my question is, has this been updated?
No.
Okay, so that should be our first thing, is kind of to assess. And I made some notes on this. So it seems like we have increased the amount of travel grant funding rates, because if memory serves correctly, I'm
Do you
looking
know what
at
page
GPSC
that is?
internal.
Yeah, that's
GPSC
second
internal.
page.
Second page.
Okay.
I guess I can pull it up on my laptop and then I
If
can
you
just
can view this
do it.
document,
Yeah,
share
and then
it
I
with
can
everyone.
highlight it.
Yeah.
And
So I'm gonna take, if there's gonna be very specific things, I might not be able to. I'm just gonna rate discussion.
Oh, just
Yeah.
so conveniently, Maria, I'm actually, I have this open on the live stream and I'm highlighting or scrolling to the right pages as we go. So if you do decide anything needs to be in the minutes, you can actually watch that section of video just to see what actual physical changes were made. So don't worry about taking notes for this part, I don't think.
Okay.
Okay, so come on.
Okay, I see
So-
what you're saying.
Okay. Travel grant funding and the research grant funding, I believe. I don't know what the research grant funding was when it originally started back in 2013, because that's
$25,000 or something.
okay.
I think that was
It was
$50,000.
$50,000.
But like per person. So
Oh,
it
about
says for both of these, it says that the goal is to increase the funding rates. So by that they meant the rates per award, right? So it increased from $500 a couple of years ago to $750 for travel grants, and then there's also been an increase of research grants. I'm not sure what the original
It
per.
went from 1,000 to 2,000 to 1,000.
Okay, so it's back
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which kind of makes sense given funding. That's another issue that I noticed. Actually, there has been a drastic cut to travel grant funding. So I'm not sure where we're at in terms of have we reached our goal to triple the travel grant funding or not. I'd have to see updated data on that.
We have not.
We haven't.
So, and then this kind of aligns with some of the things that I was going to talk about later today. So one of my goals actually is to increase funding for travel grants. And I'm going to be working to fundraise for this year, and we're going to get that system in place, hopefully. So we have a good fundraising system to go forward from this year. Again, another thing.
If you're making any suggestions, can you highlight it on this document also, if you can?
Yeah, well, I
Or
was
you
just
can do that
pointing
later.
out.
You can do that later anyways.
Yeah, I was just pointing this out because I'll just do it all my things
Can I
in
make a
pink.
comment on the same section, actually?
Yeah.
I think that rather than trying to set specific numerical goals for ourselves like this,
Yep.
it might be better to instead set more, I guess, philosophical goals, like find a more stable source of funding
Yes.
for travel and research
Okay.
grants instead of having to get the bulk from SSFAB and from the generosity of deans each
Correct.
year. Stuff like
Okay.
that. So basically don't try to have numerical targets to hit, try to have conceptual targets to hit.
Yeah, that's where I was going with this, because with the fundraising, that was one of the things I wanted to set up, is so we have that system in place, right? And that system is all based on, we're not going to be so dependent on other sources of funding, hopefully, in the future. I do know that we do have an account that's been open. Apparently, since this now, I'm realizing that this account has been open, a GPSC account with the foundation. It's actually been open since this was
Yes.
created,
Yeah, it's been
not
open.
just this year.
Yeah.
The donations apparently just started coming in this year. Zach apparently has been donating to that. So, we're just now getting
Yeah.
money into that, which is a problem because this has been a strategic goal for almost 3-4 years now, and we haven't been following through with what we all consider to be the most important part of our platform as GPSC, and that's not good. And I'm not saying that we haven't successfully grown the program, we have, but our problem is we haven't been focusing on, like you said, the philosophical, how do we actually make this something sustainable that we don't have to rely on SSFAB for. So that's really what I wanted to hit home, because I wanted to talk about that with my goals, but I can kind of do both here, so I just wanted to go ahead and interject that, because that's my primary goal.
Okay.
I think I have a more fundamental question maybe. So
Yeah.
these, obviously we're not gonna get these goals by 2020.
No.
Like that's just not gonna happen. So one change we need to make is we need to say, okay, it's now 2016, we're now 10 years into the future, so 2026, what would it look like?
Mm-hmm.
And so that might just be a basic thing that we have probably overlooked, because if we've gone up and then back down in research grant, we're basically where we were in 2013.
I actually
But the
want to mention-
question is 10 years not too far stressed? Like, I feel like it's such a long time that you might end up not evaluating or
So I do
following
think part of that's part of the important thing about having like conceptual goals instead of numeric goals
through.
is because we have no clue what's going to happen in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But
We're
we
not gonna
can at
be
least
here.
have guiding principles to work towards for
Yeah.
the next 10 years. Like we can probably come up with a set of things we want to see accomplished in 10 years that in 10 years people look back and say, yeah, that was a good set of goals.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas numerical targets, we have no clue.
Well, I think what if we have smaller numerical targets, because if we don't have any numerical targets, that doesn't give us anything to reach for.
To measure ourselves.
Yes.
To measure ourselves. So I think having some numerical targets for sure is
I would like percentage-based
important.
versions of it
Yeah,
instead.
I would also say yearly instead of just like here's where we're at right now. In 10 years, I want to be here. I would say instead something like get one new sponsor to sign on to travel grants every year or something like that.
Increase it by $5,000 every year.
Like
or
something,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
that would be
like
fine.
by certain percentage
Yeah.
every year. Aim to increase. That sounds good.
I would also like to, what we're gonna do with the elections code is what we ought to do with this. So in the elections code, the idea is every February we reaffirm, the GC as a whole reaffirms it.
Mhm.
And so part of the reason why this hasn't gotten anywhere is because it falls on people with massive amounts of turnover. So we need to get these in front of people's eyeballs every year to make sure, hey, are we doing this as a whole?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess it can be part of we could officially make it part of orientations,
That would be a good way of starting it.
which would also conveniently direct people to the repository
Yes.
so that they can find everything else as well. So
Okay.
we can,
So I would like that integrated into this
Yeah.
document somewhere.
that makes sense.
And then in the next section, UA big picture, see, I'm not really clear what the retention rates were and how we can necessarily affect that, besides encouraging students to remain in school through like advocating for reduced fees and
Higher
tuition
wages.
and increased wages, correct? So I think that maybe changing that language and saying our goals really aren't necessarily about retention. It's about improving the quality of graduate student life. So one thing that we can say is the graduate college dean, Andrew Carney, has heard us out, and he instituted a university-wide graduate TA salary increase
Yeah.
last year, and there potentially might be another one coming next year, right? Those type of things, or like a smaller workload per college. So then we can break it down on per college, like wins basically. Like, okay, in this year we had, instead of the English department teaching 3 30-student classes, they only had to teach 2 20-student classes or something like that.
So more like the big picture should be improve TA workload, improve time to. So I do think the time to degree one is perfectly fine to have on there.
Yeah, that's
But,
fine.
Yeah. But more of those types
By
of
one
ideas.
semester, where are we now? Do anyone know? Where
I know
we are
that the
now?
graduate college has like a limit, a hard limit. So, and then anything over 6 years you have to have, or something like that, you
Yeah.
have to
I
have
think it's 7.
Reaffirmation.
approval, by your
So,
faculty.
I'm also kind of leery of that as a concept because
The retention
the
rates.
retention
thing?
rates
No,
thing,
that's terrible.
just because none of us know what goes on in the other colleges. So
Well, there's also the fact that you
what-
can improve
yeah.
retention rates by just accepting only rich kids.
That's
so,
true.
like,
So
I understand the idea behind having these goals in there, but I do think we need to rephrase it to make it something we actually want to work on.
Yeah.
Correct.
because that's not.
Yeah.
It's a very corporate understanding of what we're doing here, and I don't approve of it. I disapprove.
Okay. Daniel, you made a suggestion about having something like this with the bylaws or elections code.
Right. So what I want is, I just want this to be.
Can you make a note by
Yes,
the side?
I can. Sorry.
Everything was saying I want it to be action points since we actually do
Okay.
it, not just
Put it up here
say
at the
that.
beginning.
so. It's looking like we'll definitely not get through this today, but it's a good start. Any other comments or suggestions or something you wanted to point out or someone wants to talk about?
I had some issues actually with the elections section. Not necessarily because of that, but just I think that my question is really like, what is the timeline? We need to have a timeline for figuring out when the online and outreach students will be able to actually vote, because it's not fair to have an entire group disenfranchised. It's related to this loosely, but my question then is how, if we are placing such importance on elections, we need to make sure that all of our students can actually vote.
So everyone that can vote, that is actually not an issue.
Right, but they're not allowed to vote right now because of the way
No,
the system is.
They can still vote. They
Okay.
simply cannot. We cannot restrict voting for UA Online representative to only
Yeah,
UA Online
this is-
students.
this is-
Okay.
It's that everyone can vote. So it's a slightly different issue. Every online student is completely capable of voting if they choose to.
Yeah.
But-
It's just that we cannot prevent, say, an optics student who's not online from also writing someone in for online
But
rep.
the-
Right,
But
but
we
point-
can't
the
actually
point
hold
is-
an election right now.
And I didn't want to
Right.
open up a
That's the
whole can of
problem.
worms
Yeah,
about
that's
this.
fine.
I just think that if we're placing priority in the strategic plan on elections
Yeah.
and having open, fair elections, then that needs to be something that we follow up
I-
on soon
I
with
think so.
Alma.
And
Okay.
so Alma I know has been working on it. The issue
Yeah.
is
It's gonna
Um,
be several $1,000s to fix the problem, is the problem. Because, and so it belongs in these strategic goals.
things
but-
were redone in a way that was completely unexpected when the system was originally written, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to, so this is a thing we need to work on, I agree.
And that was the other thing I had too under research grants program. There's talk about fundraising, hiring a development administrator to raise funds. Like I mentioned earlier, it was unclear to me until very recently that the foundation was actually open from this year account, but it has been open from this year and no fundraising has really taken place. So that, like I said, if we're gonna try and model ourselves, especially on this 100% engagement initiative, then we need to actually follow up with that and say, and use that as a marketing tool. So I have a lot of ideas about that. I just think that we need to do a better job of actually doing stuff and not just putting stuff on paper to sound like we're doing important things and then
Yeah.
not actually following
I
through
know,
with them.
that's true.
Because I think that that's a really big problem.
One thing we have done is the website's much better. than
Yes.
it used
Yeah,
to be.
that would
So,
that would.
So the
we-
Power- the
we
Power
have-
Master
yeah,
website.
so we
Yes.
have- So we have managed to get some small number of goals are still working, and so some of these need to be updated simply because we have been successful, which is
With
nice.
them.
I also made a note, why do we have this thing about exclusive recognition of GPSC? I think that we need to cut that. I don't
Yes.
really think that that's relevant or important.
that's true.
I think it was relevant back then.
No, it was never relevant.
I have no
or at
idea.
least it was a discussion
Yes.
on the table back then. But again, this is not a big issue
No,
for
it
us.
has been
right now.
resolved. ASUA does indeed have some things essentially that grad students benefit from, like Safe Ride, like legal services.
Right.
And so it doesn't make sense to say that we're the sole representatives, because we're not. There's the graduate student organizing committee who helps graduate students in a very different way than we ever do. And so again, it doesn't make sense for us to say we're the sole representatives,
Correct.
because we're not.
So, I think
Um,
that's good.
I also wondered how much we're actually working to make inclusive for the Phoenix and Sierra Vista and also Yuma campuses. You mentioned to me one time that we have grad students apparently at the Yuma campus as well. I think that we need to be doing a better job of outreach to those students, especially if we are saying that that's what we want to do,
Yeah.
right?
I will say there's some stuff going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
I know you've been part of some of the outreach to Phoenix, and we do now have a representative
I
from
saw.
Phoenix for
Public health.
public health. Yeah. We actually have also been doing outreach that no one's seen with UA South, and I want to say maybe one other campus.
Okay.
I know UA South for sure. The problem was, so Chris and I were both in contact with people in UA South trying to get someone, even if they couldn't run officially, we were going to find some way to get them on the council. And it turns out they couldn't find anyone. So I should probably follow up with them again, but at the very least, we have extended hands before.
Here's what they want to put in 50 satellite UA campuses. That's one of the strategic goals of the A4.
Yeah.
So what we need to do now is, through this document maybe, is set up a process by which we contact those campuses, and we already have ones that we need to work on, so that we know what we need to do when we start having grad students in Anchorage, Alaska, or whatever. So I think that should be part of what's going on.
But
Yeah.
I think, again, I was kind of distracted a little bit, but I mean, we are going to maintain being exclusive recognition.
We've never been, no, we're not exclusive, we are primary, and that is what's in our governing documents, and that is how we operate.
But that
And we
was
are going to
changed.
maintain that.
That was changed last year.
That was never changed.
We can't be
Okay.
we can't be exclusive unless we want to say grad students can't go use Safe Ride, or grad students can't use legal services, or grad students can't use ASA, UA.
Well, can't
at
we
all.
say exclusive and or primary?
I think
No.
we could say primary, but
We-
I think it's pretty obvious
Yeah.
what we do, and if we say oh, we're the exclusive one, that means that every graduate student, everything has to go through us, which I don't have the manpower to deal with. So I don't think we need to be working on
I
this.
mean, but also in our governing documents, we say primary. So essentially, if we want to say that one of our goals is to have primary recognition of GPSC, we've already accomplished it, and we can take it out of our strategic plan. Unless you want to like maintain GPSC's status as primary, in which case we could totally insert that.
Well, and that kind of fits right with what I'm saying about how we actually get on the ground connections with these other other arms of the U of A, right? Because if we say that we're representing all graduate students, but people at other universities are like, who are you? I have no idea what this organization is. That means, I mean, think about that. We could say, instead of just, the 9,000 students on U of A campus, we are outreaching to X total number of students at blah, 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 4, 5, 7 campuses, right? And then we also need then to make sure that we're allowing them to know about all of the opportunities that come along with GPSC, including the travel grants, which I think will be painful because it's going to increase the size of the pool that people are competing against, but it's important that we do this equitably. So anyways, that was the last thing that I really had in terms of the strategic plan.
So maybe that could go as a subsection, and maybe the marketing and branding as a way to increase the visibility with all the different programs that we have, and kind of take suggestions on what different colleges are doing so we can implement that as
Yeah.
a graduate.
That's something that I think marketing, and that I actually kind of had a similar note there. How are we marketing ourselves? That relates directly to that other thing, because like if they don't know about us, then that means our MAC person needs to actually be doing some of that outreach. Like that could be an easy thing they do, because all they have to do is look up the outreach college or whatever there, or like the extension, the extension information,
Before
and
you
then
do
just send
this.
the email, and they can just have one block email and say blah 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 blah.
Let me interrupt this discussion if you don't mind. Before you leave, then give us your schedule. I want us to set a meeting time for spring.
Okay, so I've sent out the doodle poll. I need everyone into
No, I mean for EB meetings. I saw the one you did for GC meeting.
Can you just
scheduled
use the
for
same one for?
You want us
I
to
wanna
do
make
the
s-
pool?
No, I assume So I assume if we all fill out the GC meetings doodle poll, then you can use that same doodle poll to figure out when we can all meet
Yeah.
for EB meetings
If everyone
as well.
fills their stuff out, we'll be able to figure out when.
Okay, we'll use that as well. Okay, that makes sense. Is that okay with everybody? And lastly, before you go, do you
Sure.
have? I was suggesting that we have a potluck for our last meeting,
Okay.
just for us
Yeah.
to kind of all interact.
Do we
Is that
know
okay
when
with
that
you?
is?
Our last meeting is 5th or 6th, I believe.
Okay. Sure.
Is that okay with you? I'm gonna send out.
I'll bring pie.
It's on a Monday, right?
I believe so. I'm gonna send out what's it called?
Please do.
A document later where you can just indicate what you're planning to bring.
Meet Pastor Daniel.
Sorry.
Jesse, good to see you. Talk to you.
Bye.
Okay. Safe journey.
Bye. Thank you.
So back. Sorry, Daniel, for cutting you short. You were saying something.
Yeah, no, I made the note on here actually, that way everybody can see this, but basically what I was saying is that we need to use the MAC person to connect to these extension programs, because I don't think that would increase the workload too much, because it's not like they would have to do it every week, but it's something that they could create like one email and say, okay, I'm going to look this information up and then send this block email out to other people. So those are just some of the ideas I've had. I have made written comments on this too, so if we need to discuss further, then that's fine. I just like to handwrite on things, so that's how
I wish those reading comments were on this, because the reason why I created this
Yeah.
is all of us can all.
I can go back and put them in.
Okay, that'll be fantastic.
Just as I was reading, I work better when I can like draw
Yeah.
arrows and stuff.
Looking at saying that we're 1 hour into this meeting, I probably want to table this discussion again.
I
till
think
next
we've had
time.
a really good start though.
Yeah, we can build up on. But if you have any other thing you wanted to say, you can say. If you don't, please continue to look at this, continue to think about it, and see what we can improve, what we can add. I don't think we have something about the discussions around inclusive excellence right now,
No.
or even anything about diversity per se. Those are
I
some
would
things that we can.
really still think about this exclusive. I mean, there was a reason why this was put in here. I mean, the reason was.
No,
what-
I'm talking about inclusive excellence.
Sorry, no, I'm just going back to the other. the other
Can we
part.
have this discussion either not at this meeting or next meeting or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
But you want just get your points. You were about to make a point.
Yeah, so I was just saying, basically, there was a reason why this was implemented. The reason was the separation, differentiation from ASUA and,
The exclusive versus primary.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, this was very important back in the day. That was the reason why, in the end, GPSC was recognized, to be, you know, separate, from ASUA, that it had certain powers that, you know, to help students that ASUA didn't have. So, I mean, taking
Okay.
it out is,
And
Yeah,
that's why
we
we're
can.
working on this.
we
as
can
a
discuss
team.
the
Think about
ramifications,
it, and
but-
the next time we can talk more on this.
Yeah.
I want us to move on and go to our next agenda because I want us to get through this.
Yes, please, please, please,
as
please. Let's get to
quickly-
this because I got an email today being like, "Dude, where's our answer?"
What?
Noam Chomsky.
Okay.
Next agenda item.
We're gonna move on to new business. Jasmine, it's you.
Yeah. Okay. So, both Daniel and I completely missed that this did not make it on the agenda for last meeting, unfortunately. So the general council couldn't vote on this. We still have not voted on this. They really need an answer from us because this event is coming up very soon. Just for anyone who's already forgotten, because we last heard about this over the summer, I think. Noam Chomsky will be coming to U of A next semester. He's going to be teaching a class for like 8 weeks or something like that. He's going to be holding office hours. He's going to be doing all sorts of, he's going to be giving talks, great stuff like that. GPSC has been asked to be a sponsor of the event. Depending on how much we contribute, that will change, essentially what we get in return or what graduate students get in return. So let me pull up exactly what the like haggling has gotten us essentially. So if we contribute $2,500, then graduate students would be able to make an appointment to meet with Noam Chomsky during his office hours to discuss their research or related topics.
Do you know how many grad students can do that?
I would assume he'd have like 1 hour a week for the whole, 6 to 8 weeks he's here, and I would guess 15-minute blocks or something like that. So,
I
like,
can get specifics, but that's fine. Go on.
so I mean, honestly, I think asking for more specifics at this point is just rude. So.
They will have that hour exclusively though. Like it will be just grad student
Yes.
hour.
I
It's gonna be a
believe so,
first
yes.
come, first serve basis. Like,
No, it sounds like it will be appointment based. So it'll be you put in your name and you reserve a block of time. It will
yeah,
not
that's
be
what I'm
drop in.
saying, Like once it's freed up, that's it, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm
You
saying, first come,
Yes.
first serve, yeah.
would. Did that answer?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
yeah.
Another thing would be a GPSC would appear on sponsorship materials as one of the donors, making Chomsky's visit to campus possible. So it'd be websites, posters, etc. There would be some reserved seating for graduate students at the January 30th public lecture at the Student Union. So that'll be a lecture on education in the United States, followed by a panel discussion with faculty. And again, no, I don't know how many reserved seats. It would be some number of reserved seats. And honestly, I'm guessing it's going to be like reserved seats for the executive board, and we could choose to just instead like raffle off, or not raffle, we never do raffles, give away our reserved seats to like, the first graduate student to respond to something in the newsletter or something like that. That's how we've done it in the past. And then there are various receptions scheduled during his 2-month visit that GPSC may be notified of depending on the type of reception. So that's basically like members of GPSC or possibly graduate students who are very passionate that GPSC hand selects would be able to go to some receptions with Noam Chomsky. That's $2,500. A $5,000 contribution would be, oh my gosh, okay, basically we would get our name on more stuff, I think, is what it was. I, for some reason, cannot find the email that explained it. Yeah.
I would like to say that I think it would be really good for us to do this. I think it would be good for us to do this anyways, regardless. But if we have our name on materials, we can take those then as we fundraise and say, like, this is an example. In addition to above and beyond travel grants, research and project grants. Here are other ways that we're benefiting graduate students, and not just graduate students, the U of A community at large, faculty, staff, undergrads, and also impacting the community. Not only is Chomsky going to be here, but people in the community will be able to go to see his lectures too. They can buy tickets to those lectures as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that then when we go and try and fundraise, because I really am like on this kick right now.
Yeah.
We can take these types of materials with us too and say, look, see, we donated this much money. We helped bring this person here and do XYZ for graduate students.
So I have
Okay.
one question,
Yes.
Jean. Can we put this up from somewhere in our budget?
So I already have the answer to that, which is why I'm bringing it up here instead of at the general council meeting in a week,
Okay.
because it sounds like they really need an answer like now. So Danielle, I know you said you were going to. Okay, if nothing else, you can't use the tuition waiver
Right.
because you already have your own tuition waiver.
Mhm.
So that's money that GPSC is saving.
Correct.
So I would argue that because it is your tuition waiver
I
and
have
stipend,
discretion for
you
that.
would. So I'm not saying that we need to permanently use $2,500 or $5,000, whatever we decide is a good amount of that, but basically use it as a stopgap. We know the money can come from there.
Mhm.
The general council can choose to pull it from somewhere else in the budget once they've heard everything.
Yeah, I think that we need to basically send. Honestly, you've even brought this up actually this
did.
fall.
Yes.
And I think that what we need to do is basically say we've discussed this, and we all just kind of were like, we don't really know if we want to commit or not yet. Can we have more time? But now we really need to make a decision. So basically, does this decision need to be made before the next
I
GC
think
meeting?
it does. I got another follow-up email today basically being like, we need
So,
this decision.
How do we operate in that circumstance? Do we send an email to the general council and say, if you have objections, let us know?
I think I agree with that. Whatever decision we make, I'd like it to be.
Because I don't
I'd
want
like
to.
general council to be part of it.
I mean, I will also note the general council, when I did the straw poll, because I wasn't allowed to have an actual vote, the response was overwhelmingly like, as long as we're getting what seems to be a good deal for graduate students, we should absolutely fund this.
So how much are we proposing to?
2,500.
I'm proposing 2,500. The
Okay.
original request was 5,000. We can discuss the merits of
Okay.
numbers.
And with 2,500, we get everything that you listed.
Everything I listed is 2,500.
Okay.
I think our
anybody
logo would be
has-
bigger at 5,000.
Well,
I
Okay.
support this. I just want to make sure. I mean, if it ends up we can't spend the money or we don't have the money, that it's not anyone's
We-
fault here.
We absolutely have the money. It's
Okay.
just coming from a strange location at the moment. And the general council can choose to do something else instead of pulling it from that specific location if they want to.
And what is that strange location?
my not needing a tuition waiver, apparently.
Okay.
No, what I mean is, the money, you're not gonna have the money in the, if you put it in the foundation account, it's not gonna be there until,
We're not going to put the money in the fund. That money, I don't get those tuition dollars ever, right? So like when you're a GA, you don't get they don't just give
Right,
you
right,
the
I understand
tuition
that.
dollars. So if you don't need the tuition remission, that money just, the university, from what I understand, they just hold, like the organization or the department kind of just holds those funds.
Right.
So like basically that's a savings for GPSC that I don't see. This is not related to the stipend, which would be different, or like that weekly like pay salary that I would get. That's not related to that. That money, I'm still not really sure how I'm supposed to get that to the foundation, because we're not sure if they can just donate it directly or if they're going to have to pay me and then I will donate it directly
And you basically withhold
on
whatever you
behalf
pay for
of
taxes.
Correct. So I'm not sure. We're working through that, but I mean, I have no problem with this, and especially considering it would be my money technically, then I don't see why that would be a problem. Especially like we can bring it to the council and say we had this X amount of savings because Danielle already has an existing GA position that she's not leaving. So we have this money left over. But I just don't know if that's money that we can spend or if that's money that we can't spend, because in some departments they have that money, but it's strictly tied up for tuition remission.
Yeah.
And if it's not, but I don't know how GPSC works. I just
No.
know in like the departments, like in the history department, if it's not specifically allocated for like tuition remission, I don't think it can be used.
No,
for
it's
that.
coming out of the general fund right now.
Okay.
So if for whatever reason we never spend that money
Mhm.
on your tuition remission, then it's just extra money in the general fund,
Okay.
in theory. But because it was already specifically allocated for that position,
Mm-hmm.
then like it's not pulling money away from any other line item at this point. It's really just food money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we can use it, and then whatever is left over from the tuition remission, because I'm an in-state student anyways, in addition to that, so that's double savings, which you get brought down to in-state anyways. But we can use whatever funds are left over. We can additionally put that to travel grants or REAP, both, whichever.
yeah, well, and yeah, we can that discussion we can certainly
So
delay.
yeah, no, I
but-
think that that's fine.
Okay.
I just don't want, like I said, to make any decisions that the council might be like,
Yeah.
why is this not?
And so absolutely the council will vote on the same thing next week.
Okay.
But the vote would essentially be: do we continue to take the money out of Danielle's tuition remission, or do we take it out of another part of the stipend, or sorry, another part of the budget? That way, it's like more GPSC and not Danielle, essentially.
Marcus.
So basically, all they need is just whether or not that we're donating
Committed.
the money, right? Is there a
Yes.
particular date that they need that? in
Today, last week,
Okay.
actually. So yeah.
there? Gotcha.
So if we can decide that we are all comfortable with this process, so initially taking the money out of the money that Danielle is saving GPSC, and then letting the general council decide exactly where, if they want to take it out of a different part of the budget instead, then I can tonight contact them saying, yes, GPSC has committed to contributing this amount. And on their side, things are fine.
I just worry that we commit, and then next week at the council, people are
Says
like,
no.
what are you doing? And then we have to decommit, and then SBS is going to be like, well,
Okay, these guys are not.
I-
Can we send out an email just to get like an idea, a rough idea?
We already did that. That was the straw poll I had a few meetings ago.
And people are okay
Overwhelmingly,
with this.
yes, please keep pursuing this.
Maybe send an email on what our
Can we
plans
tell
and
them to
hopes
just
are to
hold
do
on for
with it.
one more week?
Jude, I've been telling them that for a month.
I think that what you should do is just
I
send
really
an
think-
email to the council right now and say, hey, if you have a problem with us committing $2,500 to Noam Chomsky, you need to email me tonight.
Okay.
Because we should be checking our email frequently. I check my email pretty
Sure.
obsessively. So I
can
just
do
send
that.
it, and that
But
way.
you can then give them sometime tomorrow before sending out an email.
Basically, I would say like by 6 a.m. and I send out that like
Or-
either yes we've committed or no we have not committed by 8 a.m. or something like that.
Okay,
Is that
so
an online election then?
No, it's not.
It's not an election.
It's
because
another
it's
straw
just
poll.
saying-
election vote.
Yeah.
It's a
not
straw
vote.
poll.
It's just to get an idea of.
It's just to
Who's
say if
up
you
to
don't like
essentially.
this, then just please let me know now.
So we don't make
Because if we
commitments that
got
will
enough
not
votes
honor.
that were not really votes, but if we get enough people say, hey, no,
Mm-hmm.
then we can say, okay, maybe not.
Okay. Is that
Okay,
okay with
I
everyone?
can
sense?
certainly do that. But
Because Zach
but we
was
still
for
need
this
to.
too. He
Okay,
really
no.
is a good proponent of this.
That's the whole issue. Zach told them we had already approved this when we hadn't, and that's
Oh.
why they're so upset right now that we
Well,
haven't gotten them a straight answer.
It's because I think we were on the
Yes.
verge, but then we
We
waited
realized-
because our budget was
Yes,
wonky.
that is what happened. We almost voted, and then we decided, okay, we can
Wasn't
delay this
balanced.
because it's not happening yet, and we don't have a good enough idea of our budget yet.
Yeah.
And then we
Okay.
delayed it and delayed it and delayed it, and now it's
Okay, so just send that email out, and that way people can't say,
Yes.
I didn't know, because we've
Absolutely.
been having this discussion since April.
I know. Yes. Okay, so I will send that out.
And just ask people to email you if they have any,
If they have a strong opinion
negative.
against it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I will do that. I will
Okay,
do that right now,
um,
basically.
Any other comment on that so we can move on?
Hold up, wait. Can we officially vote as an EB though? That if there are no strong objections, we will commit this money effective at 8 a.m.
Do we need a vote for that?
Yes, because I cannot unilaterally spend money.
Okay, someone wants to make a motion for that?
Okay, I move that if there are no strong objections from general council members before 6 a.m., then at 8 a.m. we commit officially to sponsoring Noam Chomsky's visit at
I'll amend
$2,500.
that and say rather than 8 a.m., leave it up to like 2 p.m.
Oh my
or
gosh,
12.
Jude, please no.
At least 12
I got this email at like 2 p.m. and ignored her for the rest of the day. Can you please not make me look even worse than I already do in
I
this
think
situation?
that this is something that you just, it's up to the council
I'm trying
though.
to give room for people who don't
Yes.
check their emails very often.
And in this situation, it sucks if you look bad, but you're just gonna have to take one for the team, right? Like I think
But
if I were in this
Been
position
taking one
too,
for the team for the past month.
that's okay though, because the council, if enough people, if say 10 people, though
Say
that's
no to it.
10, 11 people, that's
Yeah.
enough people for anything
Yeah.
on the council, right? So what I'm saying is like, if people feel that strongly and you get that many emails, then no, we shouldn't go forward. But if you don't get those emails, which you might not get any emails, and that's fine, you're just gonna have to suck it up, I think, because I would do the same thing and just get chewed out or whatever.
Okay, then Jude, can you just take point on this then, and you tell them whenever you think we've waited long enough, because I really don't want to keep having to say to her, like, I'm sorry, I know I told you that was on the agenda for last week, but we didn't vote on it then, and I'm sorry, but we're still not voting on it yet, and we're waiting for 5 more emails to come in just in case.
Well, if Jude's gonna take point on it, then I think we should just talk about it at the next GC.
It's up to you, Jude.
Because, I mean, if we're
That's
gonna
fine
get
with
yelled
me.
at one way or
don't
the
see-
other.
I don't see any hesitation from us waiting from 8 a.m. to 12 noon.
Yeah.
I don't see how much difference that's going to make. My only point is to give
Okay,
people enough
but then,
time
Jude,
to check their
I need you
email.
to email this lady and tell her that you have decided
No,
this
you
is the
don't.
process.
You can respond, because if you respond to her at noon tomorrow, that will still be within 24 hours of receiving an
Oh,
Of
email.
receiving
I
the
thought we
email.
decided we were doing it next week.
No,
No.
we're doing
Okay,
it
we're
tomorrow.
still doing
I
it
said
tomorrow?
noon
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
You said 2 p.m., but yes,
Or
sure.
noon
noon.
or
2,
2 p.m.
whatever.
Okay.
Either way.
Okay,
So 2
then
p.m. or noon?
this
Yeah,
matters.
so
This
close.
matters.
1 o'clock. Split it in the middle.
Then
Good.
Jude,
Compromise.
okay, Jude, I'm gonna send you the list of things we will get if we contribute $2,500. You send an email to the general counsel saying, "Hey guys,
I
does
thought
anyone
you sent
object?"
That out to general counsel
No,
now.
because if I send it out, then people respond to me and not you.
Who cares?
Because
You're the one that's
you
in
were
charge of
responding to
this.
this person in
No, I'm
question.
not, because I don't want to wait till 2 p.m. or whatever. Because if I'm gonna respond, I'm responding first thing in the morning.
But does
That's
she know
why.
Jude?
Yes, Jude directed her to me.
Jasmine, you know what? Send me the email and I'll talk
Okay.
to this person if it's so difficult for you to do. I'm
Yes.
gonna move on to the next agenda, please.
Okay, wait, we haven't voted though. We're still in a position
We're-
where one person is unilaterally spending money.
No, because
No,
we're
that's not
waiting.
what we're saying. I think we had a discussion that send out something to. Look, you have to leave.
I have to leave.
Okay.
Sorry,
Thanks.
everyone.
It's
Have a
fine.
good
Thanks.
Thanksgiving.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming.
Okay, we never, I made the motion, you wanted to change the motion, that's fine, but we still need to vote on the motion, so the executive board is spending money, not me or you spending money.
Okay. So my amendment was that you give some people more time to like 12
Yeah.
Okay.
or 1 and have people respond before sending that email to her.
Okay,
And then
but now you're the one sending the email,
is
but
there
yes.
is there someone who wants to second that?
I second that.
Okay,
Okay, 2
are we
seconds.
voting
Okay.
on that?
Yes, we're
Ayes?
voting. Yes,
But only if we have money.
we have money. We
Only
just
if I-
discussed this.
If
For
we have-
sure.
Yes, we
For
for
sure.
sure have money.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we commit to
It is
this,
impossible
then
for us to not have money.
And if we don't have money, no one's gonna.
So
have
if we
money
don't
for
have
that.
money from elsewhere, can we use your part
That-
of the stipend? Is that what you're saying?
we can. Yes.
We can use her tuition remission
Okay.
because she can't receive it.
Okay.
That is just
so
free money
either
for
way,
us.
we have the money.
Yes.
It's just a question of whether general council approves of it or not.
Right. It's
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
like Zach when he basically gave.
Okay.
He-
Then that
he didn't
passes.
use
So
all
we
his
can move on
stipend.
from this,
Yes.
please. Postgraduate Jesse. Sorry about this.
So I sent this out to a group of folks who were potentially going to meet with
Excuse
the federal representatives here at the university. A couple of the representatives from DC were in town because of the Arizona Board of Regents meeting, and we were trying to schedule a meeting with them. Basically, it was just going to be a conversation to ask what their main agenda items are for, you know, all of the U of A, and then particularly to get them to commit to a couple of specific things for graduate students. I think that this is low-hanging fruit. I think it's got the biggest benefit to the most graduate students, past students, present students, future students. And it's just going back to the good old days of 2011, where we, graduate and professional students, used to be able to receive subsidized loans. And now we can't receive the subsidized loans. And so this would just approve the authority for the Secretary of Education to give the loans back.
Question: would that retroactively make any loans between 2011 and whenever this is ratified subsidized? Because my loans are basically from that period. It sucks.
There would have to be another bill passed that would let you refinance your loans, and that's another thing that is pending.
Okay.
I think in an ideal world we'd get both.
Mhm.
I think it is more likely that they change today going forward
Yeah.
than they would going back, because that will be harder to predict for them, how many people will take advantage of that and what that would do to their income stream.
Because that's interest rates.
And this was passed in 2012 on the floor of the House by a group of lawmakers saying, we will balance the budget on the back of graduate and professional students. And so I don't think there's a huge incentive for them to go back and take away their cash cow. But I do think that if there's a weakness in the bill, it is that there are only Democratic representatives co-sponsoring it. But they've been adding co-sponsors pretty aggressively in the last couple weeks. I think they've added about 6, which is surprisingly early, but that also to me indicates that if Democrats are going to try to get something, it's going to be this.
Okay.
And that's why they're collecting signatures and they're getting it into a second committee. I also think there is a section of the Republican Party that thinks that this is just big government, and that it's not necessary to have a whole arm of the government operating as a bank, because that's why we have banks. So I think that there could be, this was started by a Democrat quite a while ago, but nothing would happen until the reauthorization, and that doesn't happen until 2017. So I think that this is an easy ask for virtually everyone. I mean, everyone who has a loan, who's a graduate and professional student. And then if this happens, we get the benefit of everything else that comes will play into this. So I was just going to present this as this is just for graduate and professional students. So we want to support their agenda. We want to support everything that they're doing. And will they support this?
Yeah.
So that meeting ended up getting canceled at the last minute due to some flight changes, but they are supposed to be back in December. And so I'm going to try to meet with them, and you are all welcome to join if people are interested in joining.
What time in December?
I'm not sure when they're going to be back. She just said that they were going to be back. Because they had to, well, not because they had to cancel, they're going to come back, and so it was.
Okay. Yeah.
And basically, they're going to run the agenda that the administration wants and that they've been running for the last couple years. And my strategy was make one ask, try to get one thing on the table and start there. Because I think from what I've seen from some of the national advocacy, they come in with 10 asks and we talk and talk and talk, and then they say, okay, thank you very much. And we don't get anything in. So that was why I sent this around. That's really, I mean, there's not much of an update. There's nothing really new other than like maybe 5, 6 co-sponsors. And then if anybody has any federal legislation that they are interested in, that they would like me to be tracking, that they would like me to send a feeler out to the federal representatives. I believe at a previous meeting, someone had mentioned that we had until early December to give our feedback to our federal
December 2nd.
to our federal folks. And so I've been emailing with Shannon, and the last thing I asked was just for her to kind of just even informally just give us an update of what's on the top of their list and highlight anything that would be unique to us. So
Did you
I
get
think
a
we
response
know.
for that email?
I heard from her Sunday, and she said she doesn't have like a document, so it would take her a little while. And I said just send it to me in bits and pieces, and I can put it together and give even an informal update so people know if there's any of our items that are missing.
So what would you like me to call this about? It's about graduate student loans, correct? So I'll just write that it's about that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. Anybody has, I missed most part of the conversation, so I was trying to get something sorted out. Anyone has a question or comment for Jesse? So is this something that we all want to pursue? I guess that's a question I need to ask. Is there someone who is against us pursuing this? I plan to mention this to President Hart also at our next meeting next week, if that's something we're interested in pursuing. Okay, that being said, and I guess nothing else for this item. We're gonna move on. EB meeting we already said we're gonna work with the Dudupu Daniel sent out. Please try and respond to it.
The question is, like Daniel also raised it, I think like my like I don't know when I'm gonna be teaching it, and I don't know my course, like the
Okay.
like I don't have that information right now, so I wouldn't be able to. I don't know when, like my
And your classes
teaching.
could be in the evening.
Yes, and my teaching is, I mean.
I emailed Daniel earlier with the email he sent to the whole
Yeah, I
or
saw
to
the
the whole
Asking for an extension.
yeah, because of that, right? So I think that I don't know if did I email it to everybody?
Yeah, I got the email.
Oh, oops.
Okay.
But I think that what we need to do though is maybe a soft, like this might work still,
Mhm.
but if it doesn't, I think that we should just be flexible
Flexible.
into potentially even as late as early January, because we could always have the first meeting and then decide our schedule after. We could just do an emergency like
And
first
part
meeting.
of the reason for this is we want to make reservations for
Yeah.
a room
I
we'd
know.
use and also have it online on our website.
Well, I mean, it in our department they don't give TA assignments usually until they have a better idea of enrollment, and enrollment is down.
Can you describe what a TA assignment would normally look like? Is this like you might have 3 nights a week you are
So,
teaching, or is it one night
For
usually?
me, the classes are usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you teach sections on Friday. So I'm normally free in the evenings, but I'm done with coursework now after this semester. If other people are still in courses, most of the classes in my department are in the evening, not in the day.
Okay, but course schedule we can already know because you're supposed to have already
Already
enrolled.
enrolled.
So that's not an issue. It's really
Right,
just
but
the TA.
teaching, yeah.
So teaching it would normally be 1 night a week or 3 nights a week. I didn't quite catch that.
It-
Sorry.
Normally the classes are in the morning actually, so
Okay.
it would be like 10 to 10:50 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I just
Okay.
didn't want to commit and then people be like, well, actually we're going to have a morning meeting or something.
That's
and
not
then
happening.
Okay.
Don't worry about
I don't
that.
think
Okay.
morning meeting is-
I
saw
just
the
want to
worry,
make
don't
sure
worry.
that it'll be an evening
Daniel.
meeting
Yes.
before I commit to
it's
something.
either way, EB meeting is gonna be evening
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay,
So it's gonna
cool.
be.
My
You
classes
bet.
are in the evening, so that's I'll
Do you know
Is your
what
schedule?
days you will not be having classes? Because it sounds like you are gonna be the only one now whom we have a conflict. I'm
Well, if
available
it's-
most
yeah.
evenings except
You've
for
got
Wednesday.
conflicts usually, right?
On Tuesdays, Thursdays, I'm not free until after 9.
Oh,
But
okay.
Monday, Wednesdays, like this time works.
And conveniently, I'm not available
This
on
time it
Wednesdays.
works for me on Monday too.
I need
Monday
to,
Monday
should be
is
fine.
fine.
I need to look
But you
into
need to-
that. I need to, because my classes are always in the evenings. They don't even hold.
Okay, can you
Classes.
confirm if Monday works for
I
you?
can't
Jim, does
confirm
Monday
right
work
now,
for you?
But
Wait,
yeah, no,
you don't
like,
know your classes yet?
No, I mean I have to. So I have to. They're
I'll
telling
free
me
it
to
up if
sit
I
on
need to.
certain classes, even though I don't
I'll
need
free
to
it
tell
up
them
if I need to.
because it's good for
Sorry?
my dissertation.
I'll free up the time if I need to.
Okay.
That'll work.
It sounds confusing. I know.
So unfortunately, we do really need, like,
Um,
I know you've heard
when
this
do you wanna
before,
give me
but
feedback for Monday.
Can we open that doodle pool for at least 2 weeks? Is that possible? Instead of 1
That
week?
That's for general counsel. It's up to Daniel to do that. But I mean, if you can let me confirm. Pretty
I can't
soon.
confirm
Not
tonight.
now, but
Okay.
pretty soon we'll see Monday it's open because it sounds like every other person.
And what if I mean I can't? I may
Monday
not be
works.
able to do Monday.
if Monday doesn't work, if no evenings work for you, Maria, it's
no,
entirely possible.
It's not all evenings are not gonna work. That's not what it is.
Okay.
You said Tuesday and Thursday. Mine
At
is
9.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
The only day I would likely not be available is Wednesday.
Wednesday, Friday for me.
You Wednesday, Friday, sorry.
Right. So Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays are available for me.
Okay. So we're already having.
Well,
Well, there's
my
six-
Tuesdays,
See?
Thursdays are potential because of rehearsal schedules. And
Oh.
that and our auditions, they don't do until we come back.
Okay.
So potentially, as of right now, I know that as of right now, I'm done at 5:30, Tuesdays, Thursdays. But after all of that, it could go till 7 or go till 9.
So you basically prefer Monday because you know Monday will be available, whereas you don't know. If
Yeah,
you're
because
available
I'm
the
just a
other days.
rehearsal assistant
Right.
at that time, so I'm definitely
Okay.
done.
Well,
Um,
let me look into
Get back
because
to us and let us know if
because
it
my
works for you.
advisors ask me certain
Okay.
things.
Just get back to us and let us know if it works for you. Moving on. EVP goes. Danielle.
So I mentioned some of my goals earlier related to fundraising. Basically, my goals are really related to the candidacy statement that I had when I ran. for office. So, in addition to fundraising for travel grants and REAP, I would also work to, one of my goals this year is to advocate for students on campus. Something that was actually mentioned in GPSC 2020 is to increase communication between students on campus and then between GPSC and other organizations. So that, especially in line with the EVP duties, I think those three things together, so fundraising and then advocacy on campus and then at the state level, those are going to be my primary goals. I just wanted to bring those to the EB so that everybody knows what my goals are. I have heard, Tail, that y'all have goals for the year. Those are my three focuses. So if you'd like to work with me on any of those things, I'd love to have help with them. I've already been in conversation with Jesse, actually brainstorming ideas about fundraising and getting caught up to speed on what I can do in terms of advocacy, because we've been talking about some of the legislation and she's been giving me some information related to that. And then Jude actually mentioned the legislative action days with NAGPS, correct? That is in March. The EVP apparently was going to go to that, and the council actually voted that that would be one of the things that we would actually pay to send people out of state for travel on for the year. So again, I'm gonna bring this back up to the council soon and double check and make sure that that's still something that they're interested in. I do think it can be something useful, but is there any way that we can modify the NAGPS documents? Because like you said, I looked at those documents actually, and it's like 4 or 5 different sheets of paper that say like a myriad of things, like, you know, the visas and tuition. So is there something that I can focus on specifically and then say, here's more information about the other things?
So the person who is in charge of that this year is actually the external vice president of ASU Student Government.
Okay, cool.
Her name is Samantha Hardener, something like that. She's now NAGPS legislative director, so she will be deciding on the things they'll be discussing in March. She has told me that she wants to drop some things from that long list anyway. She mentioned that briefly during the meeting we had. Jessie was there. She was at the meeting we had, the student dinner meeting we had, where she said she was trying to drop something. So
I'll talk with
you
her.
guys can talk with her and, you know, express your concern as to having this long list of things to advocate. And again, with those meetings, if you really don't want to go talk to these senators or reps on all those issues, you can pick specific issues that you want to focus on. But again, I would still say that we keep with our NAGPS relationships. More importantly, attending LAD has some importance, and I would really say that we try to send people to that. It has some benefits, in my opinion. So I'd say we send people to that, yeah.
Cool. So that's where I'm at. If you have questions about my goals, I'd be happy to discuss one-on-one. And then this is another thing. I think that we should be submitting reports via email of what we've been working on as officers to the council at least every month, but if not every month, twice a semester, I think would be really good, because that way they know what we're doing and how we're helping the council move forward, and it gives us a way of having in text, like, these are the things that I've accomplished, or these are the things that I'm working on, I need help with this, can someone else reach out to me? But it gives us a chance to kind of articulate the things that we've actually been successful in doing that may not be recognized otherwise, like all the 50 million meetings that we have, right? So to actually put that into text and say, well, Jude, Jasmine, and Danielle met with Andrew Carney and discussed XYZ on blah, blah, blah for 30 minutes. Like, I think that those are important things. That way the council knows that we are taking concerns that are brought up in the council meetings and discussed. Like today we talked about tuition fees, insurance, retaliation against graduate students if they are doing things that like faculty or other people don't agree with. So I think that those types of things are important that we kind of are articulating to the council, because those, like, we've talked about tuition and fees in the council specifically, but by us saying that, that lets the council know as a whole that we are actually doing
Yes.
things to like put those into action,
Especially
right?
since we haven't been able to get to officer reports
Correct.
in this meeting.
Yes.
Correct.
Which really
And-
solved the whole problem.
Yes.
That's supposed to be the avenue where we
Yeah.
discuss these things, but really.
But let's be honest.
And then we can just take that off of the agenda, because if we aren't gonna have time to actually give the reports, will we give the reports via email, and then people can give
Ask
us direct
questions.
feedback, or also, you know, they can just respond as a chain to the whole council if there's broader questions or concerns.
Okay.
I personally don't have a problem with us giving general counsel an update as to the things we're doing, whatever we're achieving, and all of that. I agree with it. I've only personally not been sending out so many emails because I just don't want to spam people's inbox.
Right.
At some point, people stop reading your email when
Correct.
it becomes
Mhm.
too much.
Maybe we can
But I was
set,
thinking of doing like a monthly report or end of year report, which I'm still trying to put things together for that. But again, it's something that we can do. Yeah, it's one option. Rather than have everybody send out individual emails
yeah.
that people may just end up ignoring, we can probably make one document.
Yes.
I'm just thinking out loud. We can make one document, have everybody's report in that document, and send it out and say, hey, here's the report of what each of these
Yes.
positions have been doing.
Alternatively, we could also say all EB members by, you know, the 30th of each month, or like, you know, the 28th of each month, send your report, and then like Daniel or whoever, we could rotate, could
Yeah.
compile all the reports together
and
and send it out,
Yeah,
and we
it's-
could
it's
rotate that,
I
something
believe
like
the
that.
secretary can even do, or I can do that as well. But again, why I've not done that is I just don't want to spam people's email.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It would be
gets-
nice to have one instead of
Yeah.
one from each of us.
Each
I
of
will say
us.
though that I think we should leave the executive board reports on the agenda, and Danielle can just delete anyone who has successfully sent out the report to everyone. That way, kind of, you know, a shaming, hey, Jasmine, you forgot to send out your report this week. Like, oh yeah, it's my bad. Here's what I've been doing. But then also means that like it streamlines the process, because if you have sent out a report, then it'll be in everyone's email, and we don't need to do it twice.
Yeah. I just think that that would be a good thing, because
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about accountability this year, and I think that that's one way where, you know, we can articulate what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments? Or so do we agree on the reporting? We can do that. We can do one for this year if we're fine with it. We could say by the end of this month, if you cannot send your report either to myself or Maria, then we can all compile it and send it out early December. Is that something we can all do?
Or even, you know, we could just do one report for the whole semester, or from,
I would say try to do a report every meeting, because I feel like we should be
No.
doing a lot of things.
Every meeting might be two because meetings are twice a month. I
Yeah.
could say every month. Every meeting may not be so realistic because
Yeah, I guess
I would
it's
say
probably gonna be
once a
kinda small
month or
kind of- once a
twice a
month.
semester.
once a month or twice.
I
a
think once a
semester
month is
sounds
better.
more.
Okay, so here's the reason for
Okay.
more common, because people are gonna forget,
Mhm.
and if you only have 2 reports a semester and you forget one of them, that's a lot bigger of a deal than if you have 4 reports in a semester and you forget one of them. So that's once a month would be about 4 reports a semester.
Okay. So we're
So-
saying once a month
Yeah.
report.
And I would say send it to either Jude or Daniel. Maria can use the information and send it to everyone, but I don't think this is really a secretary thing.
Maybe, well, we could, why don't all 3 of us get CC whenever something is sent out?
Because then you might
And
as well just CC the
reports.
entire list.
Well, no, just
Another
me,
thing we can also
Daniel.
Okay, I was gonna say another thing we can do if you guys love email thread, we can start an email thread for executive board, and then if everyone sends it out, we collate it. But then just send it to me or Daniel or
You can send it to me. I don't mind copying and pasting everybody's report
I don't
into
see
one
a
document.
problem
It's
with
fine.
that. Either way, everybody's gonna get to read
Correct.
it. The point is to send it out to
Yeah,
people.
I'd be comfortable.
It's just a question of who gets to compile it.
Yeah.
It's only a question of who compiles it. I don't care who compiles it,
Yeah.
whether it's
Okay.
me or Daniel or Jasmine or
We can rotate too.
anybody
It's
can
fine.
do that.
I'd be willing to send it to you guys.
Yeah. So, anyways, we can discuss that further via email or something.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah, that was everything I had.
Okay. Last thing it's gonna be
Thanks, Jude. Thanks, Jude.
last two things is gonna be, Danielle, thank you so much, and officially welcome to Executive Board. We're glad to have you on us. We think that you're gonna be a positive addition to the team, and I'm really excited to work with you, and I'm sure every other person is excited to work with you as well. If you do need, I know you've been meeting with each of us. If there's anything you need questions on or you want to quickly get up to speed, I believe everybody will be willing to talk to you and answer your questions. I'm happy to answer your questions. Megan and Claudia is happy to do so as well. But again, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you, and congratulations on winning the elections. Moving on quickly to the last two things, admin stipends. I added this there because a lot of our admins have been asking for their money lately, and it's understandable.
Why haven't they been getting their money?
Why they haven't been paid? Because there was a process last time that wasn't clear enough, and we're trying to understand that process and what we want to do this time around. So what has happened in the past is that the admins have been asked to kind of send a spreadsheet that has the number of hours they worked and what they did with those hours. And I think in the past, what's her name? This lady that was there.
Alexi?
Gosh,
It would have been Dea before her.
Alessi, I think.
Or
maybe,
Jill.
Or Jill
Um,
before Dea.
I think they've been the ones compiling that list and sending it up to business unit, and our business unit paid them and all of that. Back in the summer, I know we discussed that we wanted to have a process to actually evaluate these people and be sure that they did something and not just pay them, or kind of have a way to have feedback. I think I remember we having that conversation. But if that's something we don't want to do anymore, it's fine. I wanted to bring this back to the table so we can make that decision today and have business units pay them as soon as they need to be paid. First thing is,
When you say admins, who are you talking about?
we're talking about the people we hired, not representatives. We're
So
talking
like
about
Jesse.
Jesse,
Support staff?
support staff.
No, support staff are not the same thing at all. Support staff are
So you're
full-time
talking
people
about-
that we're hiring
Okay,
separately.
so what we're talking about is the people who we call admins, and that's like the institute director.
It's listed on the budget. You
Jesse.
can look at it there.
It's on the budget. We have a
Yeah,
budget.
I'm trying to figure who we're talking about. So we're talking about,
Travel, not travel.
No,
Travel
that's the
grants
director.
don't have
Yeah.
them. We're talking about every
Marketing.
staff
Marketing.
other than
Institute.
travel grants, events,
Elections
and
director.
research.
Yeah, which
Every other person.
is an
There's-
admin essentially.
Fundraising person.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
Yeah.
That's what you
There's
know.
a whole
Other than-
list.
other
It's
than
in the
research
budget.
fellows?
Research event and
No, those are not admins. Those
that's
are
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ones I'm
other
saying
than-
are
Okay.
not part of it.
Research events.
Research event
travel.
and travel, those ones are not part of it. And of course, Megan and Claudia, they're not part of it as well. Every other staff, and not reps either, not reps, not EB.
It's specifically people who are called admin.
Admin.
It's, that's
And I-
really all you need to say. You
And
do
I
not need
think
to
we should
list
know
everyone
who
who's not.
admins are. So yeah,
Marketing and communications. That
um,
person.
so quickly, what do we want to do with them? That's the question. Do we want to have them kind of give us a report of what they did or what they achieved, or
I mean,
a summary, or go on, Jasmine?
it's a really awkward situation because if we were going to withhold their money, we really needed to like have a process that was ongoing, not
Okay.
last minute at the end of the semester be like, oh yeah, we haven't been paying you. Okay, well now we're gonna put all these hoops in your way because that's not really fair.
Yeah.
So I would say for this semester, just fall back on the old system.
Okay.
But we also come up with a system for next semester to make sure they've actually been doing something and not just writing down hours, because I know that was a problem with some admins last year.
Do you have any input as somebody who's actually in this position?
yeah. So I was told one thing when I was hired about how much money per hour and how much money total. And then the budget has something else.
Great.
And then I've heard that, and so I've emailed Chris and Megan, and it's probably been like 2 months of emailing trying to find out how many hours I can bill for, which to me, I mean, I like being here. I think there's good work to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to bill out all of my hours first semester, or you know, not come because I think I've used it, and then you know,
Yeah.
either leave it on the table or have a million hours second semester. So that has been. I guess I just don't understand why
I'm sorry.
that I can't get an answer on something that
Why you've
It's
not gotten an
seemingly
answer
simple.
is because the people you've been asking don't seem to know or are not sure either.
The people you've
as
been
to-
asking also didn't ask
Yeah,
us in time.
they-
Like, we just got an
I
email
got
a few days
info
ago.
quite
Okay.
recently, and also they weren't sure as to what happened, because first of all, there was a discussion that it was increased from $12 to $15, but there was no information on that as to when that decision was made.
Yeah.
But right now we're going with the $15 increase, even though we don't know when and who made that decision. But we're hoping that that's what we start
Is that
with.
what it said when you applied for the position? $15?
So some documents we used have
Okay.
$12.
Yeah.
And some have
Some
15.
has
Yeah.
$15.
Whatever. If whatever the
And
higher
I
one is, we
recall
will
at
just go
some
with it.
point I heard Lexi
Yeah.
make that statement that it was increased to $15 for everybody, but there was really no document to show that
Yep.
these changes was made. And I guess maybe that's something we can is that something we can vote on now on how?
But we can certainly vote on it.
I think it's something we can vote on now and just have that on record that it's not going to be $15.
Okay, but the 15 versus 12 is not the big deal. The big deal is, when did we decide we just weren't going to pay them, period?
No,
When did that happen?
So I
no,
was
we did not
told-
decide we're not going to pay them.
But that's the
Another
effective-
question again was, what's the maximum cap they can get to? I
No,
know
that's
for-
never been a question, because you just divide their total stipend by the number of hours, and that's the maximum number, or sorry, by the hourly rate, and
Okay,
that's the
why that's
maximum
a
number of
problem?
hours.
It's what was on the document is different from what's on the budget.
Okay, so like
So
you
for
had a
some
higher salary
budgets-
cap than the budget had, or something like that.
I think
No,
yours
I
was
had,
reversed.
yeah,
You had
mine
lower,
was,
budget
yeah,
had
Lower.
higher.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then,
And a lot of positions were like that. Like document had lower.
Okay, well, I think
budget had higher.
whatever was on the document the person applied to, we need to use that as the minimum that they can work, or the
Mhm.
minimum salary cap. We can always decide to increase that, and if they don't want to use those hours, that's fine. But
So
like,
here's the
we
problem
need to commit to
again.
that.
Here's the problem with that.
What?
Now. The document had those cap based on $12, not on $15. So if we're taking it up to $15, we have to put that into consideration.
No, we don't. It just means that now there's fewer hours available for the year unless we want to change it. But no, we do not need to change.
And then
It's
I
not like
feel
these things
that's
are
not
linked.
fair to them.
It's totally fair. What are you talking about?
Why do you feel like it's not fair? It feels like we basically didn't give them any increase. We just asked them to work less hours.
Yes, that is exactly what that would mean.
That's what it sounds
That's
like.
true.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
We can always choose to change things. We are not required to like make linked changes in any way. Whatever changes we need to make this get resolved as fast as possible, because it
Mhm.
currently sounds like a very unfair situation, we should make those changes first and then go through and figure out what the more reasonable long-term changes are. But I really don't want us to get hung up on whether we're going to go through and like multiply everything by like 1.25. Like, let's just not even have that discussion.
Okay,
12 to 15.
Here's what I'm suggesting. Maybe we can have recommendations and have discussions. I say we bring it up to $15 per hour.
Yes.
That's the first recommendation I'm making.
Okay.
And then I say we look at what we have on the budget for each of those positions, and then see if it's something we all agree with. Then we can update those documents. Because quite frankly, I think the problem we had, because I was part of some of those committees, and I also led some of those searches. And part of the problem we had was we just asked either Lexi or Carol for documents that was used in the past that was never
Which
updated.
would have had, yes.
And we just used it that way without actually updating those.
Well, that's what the
decisions that was
repository can be for, right?
made. Yeah. So what I'm suggesting now is bring it up to $15 per hour.
Okay.
The grad student, I see no reason why they should receive $12. One.
Sure.
Secondly, look at what last year approved for them as the budget and use that as the maximum they get. Unless we're
Okay.
saying we don't want to go with what last year approved. And then
We'll
make
go
those
with whatever
changes.
we approve, because we passed a budget
Yeah, that's
recently
what
that
I'm
had
saying.
all of those. So
We're
yes.
going with what we approved in the budget last year.
So I'm saying that we look at what was approved in the budget last year, update those documents, to reflect what was approved in the budget for those
Okay,
positions.
but that is nothing. All that can be done in parallel. We don't need to do that to get people paid. How do we
No.
get people paid?
Now to get people paid, we're gonna use same process like you said in the past. Like you mentioned, rather than change it on this last minute, have them submit a spreadsheet that has the number of hours they worked and what they spent doing with those hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably now. I think in the past that has been approved by maybe the program coordinator, but we can
Yes.
have that. Be
It would be approved by
Megan
Carol or Megan. I don't know
Carol,
which one.
either of
Yeah.
those people. And then we send it up to, and then I'm gonna be copied on it also, just to
Sure.
be sure that that's what it is.
Fine.
And then we send it up to the business unit and have them paid. But for next
Yeah.
semester, I'm going to recommend that we have them kind of produce like a midterm report or something.
So they were supposed to
That
attend
shows-
one GC or one EB member
Yeah.
per semester, right?
Mhm.
So I figure at that meeting they can bring whatever. You've attended a lot more than that.
More
Yeah,
than
my
that.
wife.
Fine.
You
But
must-
like,
We
okay,
don't have a problem
but then
with
there are
that.
going to be a few people who just can't attend our meetings. That's okay because that's not their primary job, right? I think
Mhm.
for those people, there should just be figure out who should work most closely with them. For example, marketing. I don't think this person has ever attended a single meeting,
No,
period.
She hasn't.
But if she's working with Danielle, let's just say, I mean, I know you're brand new, so don't worry about it. But like, let's say she's working with Danielle. Danielle can then tell us, don't worry about it. I don't know what her name is. You've been
Ashley.
Ashley. Like, Ashley's been doing her job.
Mhm.
These hours are reasonable. And basically just go around and figure out for everyone who works closely with an admin. So Jim would do club and POD. He would say, this person has been doing a reasonable job. These are reasonable hours. Stuff
Okay,
like that.
action items. I like those. Is it something we need to update on the bylaws? That's the first question.
Probably.
Who needs to implement these things that we're saying now?
No one. We can just choose and do it. This is not something that is mandated by our
Okay,
governing
so
docs.
You're saying this is something I should just send to each of these people and tell them that next semester they'll be required to submit a report
Yes.
of what they did with their position.
And if they can't, they should talk to whatever EV member they work with most closely, and that
Okay.
EV member will give the report on their behalf.
Okay, but so for this semester they need to send us a spreadsheet with hours they worked and
Yes.
what they did. Okay,
And
I'm
they'll-
gonna send
yeah.
that. Is there an opposition to that or any other comment to that? Because we're running out of time.
My comment is that every document that I've seen has been consistent to say I will get paid at the end of each semester,
Mhm.
Oh,
and
Okay.
I can submit my hours as I go just to kind of give
Mhm.
updates if I'd like, or I can wait till the
Mhm.
end. But my expectation was
Not to be paid.
2 payments
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
thank
at
goodness.
the
what
end
it
of each
takes.
okay.
semester.
I'm
That's-
sorry. I had actually
Wait,
always
2
been under the
payments
opinion,
each
or under the
semester?
No, 2
Per year.
payments total.
Okay.
Yeah, one
and
at
that's
the.
what we're working
Yeah,
with.
I had
That's
always
what-
thought it was like you got paid whenever you submitted hours.
No.
I'm really happy to hear that. Never mind, it's at the end of the semester anyway.
It's
Okay,
end
that
of
makes me feel
semester.
so much better about the situation.
So now I don't really understand why people are wanting their stipends and saying that they haven't been paid, because that from reading the applications, even like not people's applications but the application descriptions,
Mhm.
it says just that.
It
So
is
that
what
was
it
my
is.
confusion about
It's
why we're
supposed to
having
be
this.
paid at the end. In the past, what they've done
Okay.
is paid twice a semester, but we haven't paid at all this semester. So we wanted to give them
Mhm.
that money because the semester is already coming to an end. This
Yeah.
is our second
Okay.
to last meeting, and that's why I'm
Yes.
having this discussion now.
Okay.
So what we agreed on right now is have them send a spreadsheet with their time and what they did with that. But
Mhm.
for next semester, they're gonna have to send a report. Is that what everybody
Yes.
is agreeing to?
And they either deliver the report in person at either an EB or a GC meeting, or if they
Okay.
cannot do that, then they will choose an executive board member to give the report on their behalf.
Okay, Jim, you wanted to say something.
I just wanted to know what our legislative affairs director thought about the proposal.
I think that's a good proposal. I would maybe, I mean, and I don't mean to sound harsh, but I wouldn't recognize most of these people, and so
It's a problem
it's
every
not
year.
to say that they're not doing anything, because I think that sometimes we see the fruits of their labor even though we don't see them. Other times, I think there are more questions, and I would really challenge who can't schedule any meeting. And if you can't come to one of the 2 standing meetings, schedule a time to come in and meet with 2 or 3 people. I mean,
Okay.
if you're on campus,
They
there should
come
be
in
some
sometimes
time.
to meet.
And maybe if they're, in Phoenix or something like that, you can do a Skype or a phone call or something. But I can't imagine how you can take a position, work for an organization, and never show face there.
So
Beyond a
I have
spreadsheet.
actually met with every one of them.
And so that's why I was
don't
saying
think
pick
there's anyone I've
pick
not
the
met
EB
with.
member you work
Yeah.
closest with, because yes, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking was like marketing should be meeting with Danielle, club and POD should be meeting with Jim, and so they will have met with a subset. Just they won't be able to make standing meetings,
Yeah.
which is why that EB member would then take the information and
So we
present it
might
for them.
need to get to the point where we update our document to either remove that requirement. I see no reason why we have those on our document and we don't enforce it.
But we have those on the document.
Why tell them
because
that they
previously-
have to attend to
Yes,
EB to
because
GC, but nobody follows
previously-
up on that.
We didn't know who these people were. We were like, we should really know who these people are. They should come to meetings. And so we put it in. And then it was really unclear who was supposed to enforce it, and it didn't get enforced necessarily. Now, there are some people who have been great about doing it. I would say about 50%
Yeah.
of the admins we've hired at this point have been great.
We've paid people
Without them coming.
even without them coming.
Yes, we have.
we've done
So
that before.
that is something that we need to figure out who should be contacting the admins, reminding them, you need to make it
It's
to at
on
least
the
one.
position description.
It
Down there
is,
you have 3
but
positions under you.
It's going to be completely like they're going to get blindsided by getting to the end of the semester and never showing up because they just forgot out the requirement or thought they'd get away with it, and then get told, oh, you can't get paid because you didn't attend a meeting, but now there's no more meetings for you to attend, so you're out of luck.
Because-
Like, we can't do that. We do have to remind them at some point throughout the semester.
Because this is going too long, here's what I'd say. I know some positions are under me, some positions are under Megan. Daniel, some positions are under you as well. I know 3 at least are under you. I'd ask that you follow up with them. And Jess is one, Nick is the other person, and I think the other person, I'm not sure.
And Nick has attended an EB meeting.
Nick has attended one already.
Would
think it-
development admin be under?
Yes, Sarah.
Okay,
Sarah is the
and
third
Sarah's gonna
person
be at the
under
next
you. And then you're
GC
also
meeting.
working with marketing.
Yep.
So if you can
Ashley.
follow up with those people, I would also follow up with them and just remind them that they need to attend these meetings.
And if they absolutely can't, they need to like tell you that.
Okay, we have 800 days and days, and I want to move on really quickly.
Okay.
They need to
Potluck,
attend the next meeting.
There's 2 more
tell
GC
them
and
that
1
they
more
need
EB meeting.
They, in fact, at least remind them that they need to attend 2 EB to GC. So if they've not attended any, they should pick one to attend as soon as possible. Most of them, except for marketing and POD, but those 2 are new. They haven't actually come. I would invite them to come to the next meeting
Okay.
or sometime next year.
I wouldn't
so this
phrase it as the.
semester, attend
Oh,
We
one
only
of
tell
have
them
them.
they
one
need to
meeting
come to one
this
of the-
semester,
yeah,
so
I
they
told them
can't
that.
come.
Yeah.
It's gonna be next semester.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll send you an email, but
Last thing,
Doesn't apply to
potluck
you.
has been discussed.
I'll give you all an update.
Please try and fill up the spreadsheet I sent just to have an idea what we're bringing. If you don't want to indicate what you're bringing, that's fine, but try and come with something.
Secret.
You can put secret there, that's fine. EB reports, 1 minute each, please. Socials. Do you
I
have a
won't
long
go
list
as
again
fast.
today?
No.
Okay.
It's just a very simple. I can email this to you all, but with the 6,000 lowered from the 8,000 that we started with, I made my own little thingy on what I spent with the socials. As of from the social from this past week, there's still 2,184 left to use for the last 4 of the spring semester. I'm hoping to still stay under that budget because I'm hoping to work with Kevin a lot more with GSA Week and a lot of our other events that we have and be a little bit more involved with that. With the 2,500 that was from that was allocated for working with sponsoring other groups and such, there is still 876 with that. And if I kind of would like to just block that off for GSA Week because I know that he might need some help with differing events during that, and I want to try to increase the graduates' involvement with that. So I'm hoping to have that amount frozen, see if I can maintain being under the 400 allotted for each social, so I can use whatever is with that to help with GSA Week. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Thank you so much for that. Any questions for him? The next person, secretary.
Several things. So the way the minutes are done has changed. Being edited based on people's requests. The governing docs, some amendments were previously sent out, so they've, from what I understand, because I wasn't there at the end of the meeting last time because the meeting was scheduled at the time I had a class. From what I understand, they've been tabled, so we can go back to that the next GC meeting. Those are all the updates I have.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you. Thanks for the recent version of the minutes. Thanks for everything you've done with socials this year. I appreciate it.
Maria, were you told that specifically the general counsel requested annotated versions of those amendments? You were not told that, it doesn't look like.
Annotated versions? What do you mean?
Explain the reasoning behind each proposed change so that we have a starting place for discussion.
But I mean, the reasoning is I mean, there's 2 reasoning. I mean, one reasoning is basically the stipend situation, and the second reasoning is that we need their committee list is wrong. That's all the reasoning that's necessary.
Okay, but you need to
The
go
other
through
reasoning-
each change and explain how it solves or why there is currently a problem, because right now it's just not obvious.
Is this a
I'm not-
change in format?
Maria, this is
No.
not me. Don't shoot the messenger.
Okay, I'm gonna cut that short. Maria, last meeting, GC voted
Yeah,
that.
I told Maria about it,
Okay.
and also
Okay.
Jasmine wants to try to make a point
So
that I
then
didn't.
that's enough. If
No,
you
it looks
told
like Maria was not
Maria about
aware.
it, then that's enough already.
Okay,
Thanks
so then
for telling
Maria
her
already
about it.
knows, and so she knows to provide that annotated
Next
version.
person,
Great.
Treasurer.
You could have just said that
Jim,
first.
Jim, do you still have anything to give on the reports? That's okay. Daniel's not yet. Jasmine, it's you.
Last meeting there was a request for some data from the travel grants program. That way we could see if we had specific colleges that were getting a disproportionate number of grants, and if there were specific colleges with a very poor success rate at getting grants, to figure out if we needed to outreach to specific colleges better. So I passed that request along. It's being worked on. Also, I mentioned that our last research grants round was a bit smaller than we expected, or well, we knew it was going to be small, a bit smaller than we hoped because of poor outreach. Doubled the size, so this upcoming round has 18 applications instead of just 10. So that's actually what we were expecting, and that's much better. And so we should be keeping that for the rest of the semester, which, provided that the success rate stays about the same, we should be good on number of awards distributed by research and project grants. I know travel grants, and I'm just gonna like speak for Janelle because like I know she's not here this time and someone needs to say it basically. Janelle has been using her committee, which is great. She passed out some grant applications for everyone to look through because the original judges did not get to them in time. And so that's exactly what we wanted this committee for. Looks like it's working out well. Only one person said that they couldn't do that assignment, and so Janelle found alternate backup judges, but that's fine. Also, she's having her judges, or her committee, look for external sources of funding, because I know that's something that GPSC is very interested in, and having that committee in place seemed like a good way to do it. And research grants should be doing something similar soon, although probably not until the start of next semester, just given the timing. I think that's about it for me.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something to say? I know you're pretty new.
Well, I was elected on the 7th, and I've been working to get caught up to speed. I have contacted Jude for the updated handbook. I'm waiting for that.
I did send it to you.
No.
I did send it to you. I sent it to you yesterday. Don't even go there.
Did you?
You are one of those who don't read your emails.
Oh.
That is
I was wondering why
not
you didn't
the
have
truth.
a question on it today. I sent it to you yesterday.
I don't have it.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
You can't possibly be serious.
Are you only looking at your official email address?
Okay,
No.
I will confirm that.
Okay.
I sent it to your personal email
I
yesterday.
know.
on
I don't have
Sunday.
it.
Okay.
I will check my trash just to be sure, but I'm searching by handbook and I've got nothing.
Not serious because I worked on
That's
it and I
okay.
sent
Look for
it to you
manual.
yesterday.
Nada.
Okay.
And I
So,
have it on this laptop.
it's
I'll forward
funny.
it to you right now.
I sometimes do that where I think I send an email and people are
I
like,
think sometimes
He sent it to the other
happen.
Danielle Blaylock, and she's
Right.
really confused right now.
there's many of us. So I'm waiting for that. I actually met with Andrew Carney, the dean of the graduate college, with Jasmine and Jude earlier today. We're meeting with Anne River Hart next Tuesday. I have meetings set up with, there's some people that have outreached to Jude and myself that we're meeting with on Wednesday. They have questions about how we can have different types of like community and things like that in the wake of Donald Trump being elected.
Oh, I had during the constituency meeting we had, people were talking about that too.
Cool.
That it's an important topic.
Excellent.
Sorry for
No, that's good. That's excellent. What else have I done? I think that's it for right now. Yeah. So I'm trying to get my ideas together for funding. That way I have something concrete to move forward with. We do have a new person in that position, so I'll be working with them very closely to make sure that we get those things put into place for this year. I really want to make sure that we actually get on the ground and like get moving with the fundraising. I think that's actually really, really important, and I think that's kind of ridiculous that we haven't prioritized that before now. And I'm not talking about just internally, because Zach did a really great job for many years of raising money with SSFAB and other funding revenue sources within the university, but we need to be looking outside of the university, because SSFAB I don't think is a long-term sustainable goal for us. I was not able to, that's the other thing, I am on the SSFAB committee, but I wasn't able to attend the last meeting because I was out of town at a conference. But I am meeting with Casey Arquidez and her team next Wednesday. We have meetings from about 8:45 in the morning until about 11:30. So we're meeting with a surplus or something. Then maybe instead of keeping all of the surplus, or like last year where they were like, you get a drone, you get a drone, you get a drone, everybody gets a drone. We could have reinvested that and put it into the foundation, which apparently also is an interest-bearing account. So just like food for thought if we do have massive budget surpluses like that in the future.
Who told you that?
What?
That we would be able to take parts of our budget and reinvest it in the foundation account.
Oh no, I'm saying that that's something that we could potentially talk about, find more information about, discuss, decide, determine. Because I don't know about what
Right.
things are put in place, what limitations. But anyways,
Yeah.
so that's
Okay,
my
okay.
update. That's way more than a
No, but
minute.
if we have our, from what I can hear, we do have some money that is kind of separate from our budget
I don't know.
currently, you know, in terms of what Zach, especially, I don't know, maybe something else we have.
It's like $3,000 total.
Right, but I mean, it's something. If we wanna invest that money in some other ways, I mean, I don't know. Jen, you previously mentioned something. I don't remember anything
Okay,
anymore.
We'll talk
Um,
about it
Someone
next
else
time. I've got to
mentioned
go.
something.
We've got
Okay,
family in
we
town.
are
Sorry,
out
guys.
of
That's
okay,
okay.
that's
time
fine.
for this
We
meeting.
can
That's a
talk
good
about
idea.
it in the future.
Find out more
Daniel,
info.
I just sent you the man, and I really am
Yeah.
sorry. I thought I sent you
You're
this
fine.
yesterday. What happened
Sorry
to
for
me?
the public shaming.
No, I'm really sorry. It's fine. And if you had not said it, I would have thought I sent it to you already. I just sent it to you again now.
Thank you.
Now you have that, so that's part of my report. So what has happened since the last 2 weeks? I've raised a total of 38,500 for GPSC travel grant. 7,000 came in from Confluence Center, 23,000 came in from Provost and Grad College, 3,500 came in from Ella College, 5,000 came in from engineering, and that comes up to a total of 38,500. And that goes, all of that goes into GPSC travel grant specifically. Also, Daniel mentioned already the meeting we have with the county today. I'm meeting with Melissa Vito on Monday. We're meeting with the president on Tuesday, and a lot of those discussions are just going to be around athletic fees, generally fees and tuition, and also compensations for grad students, and possibly health insurance issues and all of that. And I think that's about it. We hosted President Klein last week, which every one of you are aware of, and that went pretty good. And she really appreciated coming. She and the board of Region Chair, Region Pattinson, they were really glad that they came for the meeting, and they thanked me so much. Like I felt like I did something special. With my committee, do I have a committee again? That's supposed to be marketing.
No, you
that goes
abandoned
to
it, yeah.
Daniel, so I'm officially handing that over to you, Daniel. It's now your committee.
I need to be updated on that.
And yeah, we can talk about that.
Thank you.
And then on GC Goals, I said I was going to focus on travel grants, and I just said what I did on that already. For task force, I'm still hoping that those of you in charge of this goal can at least do something about it. We didn't get to talk about it today, but we can talk about it at the next meeting, just to see that everyone is actually doing something specifically towards achieving those goals that General Council set: the food insecurity, the sexual assault, the expanding programs like travel grants and all of that, and the outreach which comes to. And I think you've done a good job so far. Kudos to you, and kudos to everyone who's played a significant role. Jesse, I want to specifically thank you for coming consistently to our meetings. You really don't have to come, but you've been almost more consistent and committed than a lot of us, and I really appreciate that. Seeing you at our meetings gives me a lot of joy, and you bring so much to the table, which I'm very, very happy about. So just so you know, your presence at this meeting is well appreciated. And anytime you want to come, anytime you want to be part of the agenda, let me know, and we're more than happy to have you to it. And I'm sure that Daniel is happy to work with you on our advocacy platforms at the state level and all of that. It's going to be on you last if you had additional report to give otherwise.
I have a very few people who have shown any interest in Cats at the Capitol or Wildcat Wednesday. We will be fine with a small group. It would be better with a larger group. So I was going to put together an email and send it out to General Counsel and just ask
Just a quick thing, is there any way we could use money for events and socials to say we'll give you food if you go on the
Absolutely.
bus?
Mhm.
That's something
Because
we can do, right?
free food is a easy
Yeah.
way, like you can hobnob with the reps and then
Yeah.
be like, food, we'll give you lunch or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I was
sorry.
gonna send something out, see who was interested, and then also
That's
have
the cat's gonna cut that.
the Cats at the Capitol on January 18th, and then also have another document that you all can send to your list, your constituents, because even if you're not interested or you're busy, hopefully there's some people that you represent who would like to join us, and if we can provide a ride and food and go as a group, that they might be interested in that. So I will be sending a little bit more information out about that, because right now I think we have 5 people.
Have I given you my name yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you're on my list, so you're not. You can't back out
going.
now. And
Me
then
too.
my Thanksgiving plan is to come up with the first draft of the assistance available that we can get here in the office and then out. And so I was also going to use you all as guinea pigs to send it to. Have you try to enroll, see if it makes sense, see if because I've gone through them, but I would be curious to see what results you all get and what's beneficial and what's confusing as we try to get that into a palatable document. And that's where I've reached out to Ashley to try to get her to help me get that in some nice package. And she has responded to me. We have not been able to meet that, but I'm optimistic that, we've got good things like multiple application, health, food assistance, rental assistance, utility assistance, all sorts of good stuff that a lot of people will be eligible. Free trees, 3 free trees each.
Trees?
Yeah,
Trees?
trees for you.
There's all sorts
Really?
of free
Trees
things
for me?
apparently.
Trees for you.
Wow.
You
That's
get
what
a
it's
tree.
called.
You
You get 3 trees.
Can you send out more information about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Since are you done?
Yeah.
Before we leave, please 2 things. First of all, we have a box over there, and that's supposed to be for food donation. I don't want us to come last by having that box empty. I think this goes through to December 8th. So please, if you have anything, canned food, whatever,
there's a
you
can
see
of
that
beets I
you
don't
walk
eat.
out, the box out there, please just try and throw in something there for
We need to send that to
GPSC.
the total count, like the whole council.
Yes, I think we did already, but
Oh.
I'll be sure to resend that information. Please put in something. Secondly, we sent out a link today for travel grant survey. The reason for that is we're trying to improve our application for travel SS5 funding for next year. Please, I really would need your help with that, spreading the word, telling your constituents or members to participate in that survey. That's going to help the application we put up for next year SS5 funding for travel grants. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Happy Thanksgiving.
I didn't move the motion. I was asking someone to move the motion.
Oh,
Let's end this meeting.
Also,
well,
we're done.
we're
Second.
out of here.
Okay.
Meeting adjourned.
Happy
Thanks so much.